Okay, so I'll call this regular meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:02. And since we have David's flag, he'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to
and
the
to the republic
for which
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all.
Thank you. Even though it's a little everybody's a little off, that's okay. So public input, I don't see anybody who's public unless they're hiding somewhere. Let me look through the note. And then correspondence, everything is pertaining to our particular projects. So approval of meeting minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of our regular meeting of May 26, 2020.
Second.
Dave seconds. There was lots of pages. Did anybody in going through it find anything that needed to be corrected or updated or?
Yeah.
All good?
Good.
Good. So we'll vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And I think John Perna needs to abstain because he wasn't at the meeting, right? Good. All right, and then moving on, old business, do our school projects with Rockwell and Johnson School. So our construction project updates, we just received them, and if you didn't get a chance to check your email, they came in late this afternoon. And I think Geraldine's putting them up. So Ken's going to do this for us. And Ken, I'm going to ask you two things, and I'm going to enforce this. These need to come to us sooner. You can't send them to us 2 hours before the meeting. We need them on Friday so they go out so they can be reviewed by the commission members. And I know that that doesn't make it as up to date as it is right now, but you're going to tell us that when you do the report. This is as of Friday. The whole Zoom thing requires us to have the documents up and available for the public on the town website, and you haven't been doing this, and so we can't keep doing this. You're going to need to get them to us sooner. You're going to need to write it up and get it to us much sooner. And since it's up on the screen, and some of us did read it because we checked our emails, if I could ask you not to read the entire thing, but just hit some high points. I see that you have Johnson up here now, and the vestibule roof support and canopy roof drain is something that we really need to look at. Do you want to start with that, or do you want to go through some other things first and save that for discussion later?
No, Johnson's fine. I'll get these to you on Friday.
Okay.
It was the whole reason was just to make it so it was updated because we have people working on Saturdays and you got all day Monday. So there's no problem. I'll have them to you on Friday.
Or even if there's stuff going on the weekend, Monday morning would be fine, because if it's, I believe it has to be on the town website by noon Monday. So if you've got, a bigger part of the update that you can do and get it to us in the morning, and then we'll distribute it, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So for Johnson, without going through the whole first page, what I do here is from the last report, I enter all the items, and then anything that we may have, picked up and did without being on the report. And I also will put down, if it's 100%, there's no point of me putting the percent from last meeting, so I'll just enter the 100%. But all the other percentages are the same from the last report. And then you can see from when we to the work in progress, how it's progressing. So for the work in progress, The fifth grade edition, the site contractor is coming around, finishing off the fifth grade site work. The gym, right now, we've got the brick wash down in a prep for painting. And I do have the grade beam that's poured this week. That's not on here. The second floor, we're working on finishing up the MEP equipment and duct work. Fire protection is at 60%. The plumbing, drain, waste, vent, copper for the gang bathrooms and sinks at 65%. We've started the primer paint. The ceiling grid support wires have gone up, and we're going to start with the putting in some of the ceiling grid. The 2B, which is the first floor classrooms, we're working on the under slab plumbing. They got most of it done late today, so we'll be going for inspections and then pouring the infills at the end of the week. And we've got the window prepping and masonry ongoing and installing new windows on the first floor. The ensemble area is basically HVAC equipment and duct is at 80%, the metal stud framing 70%, and the plumbing, drain, waste, vent, copper, and roof drains at 80%. The main office, we have the under slab plumbing is at 90%. We have overhead MEP at 30%. We have the ductwork on order, and a lot of the HVAC equipment is going to start going in. The music area, right now we don't have a lot going on in there. It's not one of the critical areas. The site has started with the bus loop, and we're roughly at 30%. There's catch basins going in the front, and it's been completely demoed out, except for the sidewalk closest to the building. The roofing, got the kitchen probably it's at 100%. This morning it wasn't, but it is now. So they'll just have to get rid of their dumpsters that are in the way. Metal stud framing for the kitchen has started. It's approximately 30%. The cafeteria right now, we don't have anything at this moment. And for the work to be started, at the gym, we're going to do the remainder of the platform concrete slab on the 17th. First floor, we're going to be putting door frames in on the 15th. The HVAC equipment and ductwork on the 17th. The ensemble roofing area is going to be on the 12th. And door frames for the main office area on the 15th. We'll finish up some of that underslab plumbing in the cafeteria on the 16th. So that's it for Johnson.
So Ken, if all these were 100%, would Johnson School be done?
I'm sorry, what was that?
If all of these were 100%, would Johnson School be done?
No, because we have other items that are going to continue to follow with the finishes. So right now we're basically just looking at the mechanical rough-in, the building envelope. So we still have a lot of the casework finish painting, flooring, and those items, padding out. So those will come, within 3 weeks or so, you'll start to see those items show up.
Internal finishing.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Question?
So the report doesn't contain every item that needs to be done in the school. It's basically things that are being worked on now, the phases that they're part of. And as Ken said, some of the stuff that's going to then be added in. Well, so if you look at the work to be started, that's another couple of week look ahead. And then the next time 2 weeks he gives us a report, there'll probably be more stuff in that work to be started area. Some of the stuff that's finished may drop off so that we don't have to, be looking at that because it'll be completed. So it's kind of a revolving sort of update.
I have a question.
Sure, Bob.
Hey, Ken, you
Uh-huh.
indicate here the second floor, windows, phenolic panels, 100%. So that's a finished product now, both outside and inside?
Yes.
Okay. I got a secondary question, but I'll hold it.
Is it on the windows?
Yes.
Sure.
It's more about detail than I just basically wanted to know if it was finished or not.
Bob,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they finished caulking, but as far as the, I believe that finished product.
All right, I could talk about it later. I don't want to tie up the report.
Well, but if it's
Okay.
part of what needs to be, like if we're looking at things that we know that need to be looked at further or need to be, I think now probably would be a time to do it.
Okay, well, my question is, if you're standing on the exterior of the building and looking at the new windows, there is a detail that looks unfinished, which are those side mullions that come down where it meets the concrete. There's about a 3-inch gap. It's exposed on the bottom, exposed on the top.
And
It's,
yeah, and the question is, to add to what Bob's saying, is that a design issue? Like, was it designed that way? Or was it supposed to go the full length of the window, right, Bob?
that's it.
And
Okay.
100%.
Joe Collada, I think I saw Joe Collada on the phone. Is
Yes, I'm
he?
here.
Yeah, I sent you an email a couple of days with the pictures that Bob supplied. Did
Yes,
you?
we looked at that and we weren't exactly sure what the concern was, so now I have a little better understanding of it. So the extended mullion, the darker mullion, is supposed to have a cap at the top and the bottom. It's supposed
Okay.
to be closed. I'll have to look at the exact details, but I don't think it was supposed to extend all the way down to the bottom of the frame. I'll have to take a look at that to see.
See, my concern is more on the maintenance end of it, because what's going to happen, you're going to get birds' nests in there, you're going to get bees, then you're going to get water, and it's going to freeze and split.
Right.
So
So,
that's, I'm
so-
looking long-term maintenance on it.
so the extended mullions are supposed to have caps top and bottom. And we indicated
okay,
that on the
well-
shop drawings.
All right, well, that's the reason why I asked if it was finished or not, because now you got to bring the scaffolding all back again just to do that. It just seems kind of half-assed.
They have a lift. They'll sometimes that's how they do their finish work. They put somebody on popping the caps on, but yeah, I'll make sure that the caps get on.
Okay, at least it needs to be on the punch list.
Could we please get pictures of them putting the caps on up top, since we won't be able to see them?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So then, Ken, for Johnson, you have on the top items needing specific review or attention. There's the vestibule roof.
Well, I that came through this afternoon, so I could take that one off, but we just.
It's a significant item, and there is concern with being able to have this finished for the opening of school. we've got to look at it. We literally just started to look at it and it's missing information on the revised foundation for it. So we'll have to get with Joe and go over exactly what, how they want to handle this. But it's not a tremendous amount of work, but it's the timing of it is difficult. And the detail of the work that they're asking to have done there is going to be time consuming.
So that's in the works now, and you probably need some more back and forth with design, and because you don't have enough information to get started on it. Is that where we seem to be right now?
Yeah, we literally just got it. So we'll have to go over that with Joe. And
Yeah, Nancy.
Yeah.
I was with Bob when we saw that detail on the window. In my personal opinion, it looks pretty good without that detail on the window.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Without that detail, it's a nice, tight, clean finish.
Right.
Without the
Then it doesn't have the space on the bottom or the top of the window. So just Bob and I remarked to one of the detail looked better without the detail on it on the window. But you know, it's too far beyond the project now to eliminate them.
What's the function of those extensions?
Detail.
Yeah, design, right?
Yeah, it was aesthetic. They also give a slight little shadow to the glass, but it's something that's been in the design from as long as I've been on the project.
Okay. So it's an empty space up through there that needs to have caps top and bottom is what you're saying.
Yes.
But they're supposed to stand off the masonry that whatever, what's that, 2 inches more?
It's probably, it's the depth of the system, which is I think 2¼ inches, plus the probably the joint between the materials.
Okay.
Let me look at the.
Well, even the
drawings.
phenolic panel doesn't match up tight. You got a gap underneath that as well, where it meets
Right,
the concrete.
So the phenolic panel is a rain screen system, and that's part of the system itself. So it allows the water to come into the system and come out of the system.
Okay.
So we'll take a look at that as well next time we go out there, and we still need to finish punch listing the addition.
Right. Bob?
Yes, sir.
Bob, did you ask him about the brickwork on the retention side of the building on the second floor, that brickwork that looked awful?
No, I didn't, because it was supplied on that picture, that photograph I sent Nancy.
Oh, okay.
I believe we commented that on the punch list we did back in March.
So the brick that Rich is talking about, is that something that needs to have attention? Do we have a question about it?
Well, you got to really physically walk up and look at it. I mean, there's areas that's going to have to be repointed.
Right. It doesn't look nice. I'm with Bob on that.
Okay.
It just doesn't look nice. And I didn't see it. I just only saw it in the pictures. So it definitely needs to be addressed. It looks like somebody did half a job.
And is that
Yeah,
something-
it looks like it was an after effect, after the fact, to point up some brick there in that area there, and they just didn't, they did a crummy job of pointing it up.
Right.
And is it new?
Can you send it to me and I'll address it with the contractor?
Okay, is this new brick or is this something that's been
It's new.
reworked?
This is new
Yeah.
brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Bob, you can send Ken the picture, right?
Yeah, not a problem.
So if it's new, it should look perfect.
It should.
Yes. Okay, anything else on Johnson for any other questions, or Ken, is there anything that you need to make us aware of with Johnson?
No.
Okay.
No.
Any questions for Ken on Johnson? We'll do Rockwell if not.
Do we need to talk about the dirt pile at this point, or is that something that's moot?
Oh.
Well, that is at Johnson. I suppose maybe we should.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll chip in then on that. On June 2nd, Richie, Bob, and myself met at the fill pile / topsoil at the field at Johnson's School. We're estimating approximately 3,000 to 4,000 yards of material. And I'm going to call it a mixed topsoil, overburden, clay, roots, etc. It looks to me to be the material. It's not necessarily good topsoil unless it was screened. And even that is kind of limited. What happens is it's a mixture of the, after they stripped off some of the topsoil on top, maybe they took some, maybe they didn't, maybe the topsoil wasn't so good in that area, in those areas. And it's basically what we call an overburden type material. It's between the good topsoil on the surface and the clean fill on the bottom. That's pretty much what that pile comprises of. Let's see, hold on one second. So, we put together, just had some ideas as far as, what to do, with it. The number one, I think a recommendation I would not recommend, and I haven't been through it with Richie and Bob, but we talked a little bit on the walk, but I would not recommend using the material on the existing fields. That's due to possible drainage issues. It's mixed with sticks and what have you. And, it's not a large enough pile that it's going to really make any material difference in the elevations of the field. There's only 3,000 or 4,000 yards, relatively speaking. That's not a huge amount. The next possibility on that was, let's see, is thinking of possibly, we know earth movers has to move it, but if we just said, well, could we get any value for that pile just to sell it? I think there's a possibility, a limited amount to sell the entire pile. Unfortunately, it's kind of mixed and, good, clean topsoil. Typically, when someone loads it into the person's truck, they get between $8 and $10 per yard just as raw material. That would be, someone else hauling it away, but typically that would be, the contractor loading it. So you could possibly advertise to sell the whole pile. Again, it's not good, clean material. That's one of the problems. And, whenever things are mixed up, it has very limited value as far as for what it is. Possibly, I would say, at best $4 to $5 a yard as it sits there, and then they would have to remove it. So that's a possibility. The other possibility is Rich and Bob and myself, we met at the pile, and we walked around the area. We kind of looked on the schools themselves as far as where could we enhance the property of the schools. And it just so happens that just north of the existing pile, the slope drops right off. And as you know, if you go to the west a little, you go to your lower field. And the lower field is probably about 15 to 20 feet of elevations difference between the two fields. An easy recommendation might be there's a trail just on the north side of that slope right now. That trail could be possibly either relocated out a little farther, or just simply have it come up the slope itself. But basically it would be to just fill the area to the north there. And from my estimation, it's a sloped area in there. It'd probably go out to the north 70 to 100 feet out, and basically keep the same level as the existing field so that you get some extra field out of it. And then the slope that goes to the lower field would also be extended. So it would also look basically the same. It would just go to the north, probably, 70 feet, 70 to 100 feet in that area. There's a minimal amount of tree clearing that would have to be done. It looks like that area had been disturbed in previous years. So there's not many trees that, in fact, they're generally smaller trees that are there. It's mostly scrub type trees. And based upon what we're not soil scientists per se, but from where we walk through there, it does not look like there's any wetlands throughout that area there. It's generally dry, high ground through there. So it doesn't look like there would be any problems, even if you had to go for permitting per se. And, that would be another recommendation, which I think would add some value because, again, I don't think the pile itself is that desirable a material.
So in pushing it off to this area or moving it to that area, would there be a concern at all with what's in it, the roots and stuff also? Would that
No,
all-
it's, Nancy, it's limited, roots and sticks and what have you, those just settle their way out. It's not significant enough that it would, let's say, settle down, all of a sudden you see some big settling and what have you. It's just not that significant. It's just that the material, if you're trying to retain a good topsoil, you really have to pick through it. And you have to pull the roots and the sticks first and then clean, you have clean material. A lot of job sites, the material itself is just kind of blended in between and the topsoil layer is not that well defined. This is kind of what that looks like. And they basically just picked up all the stuff, all that, mixed it all together until they got down to the good fill and they used the good fill. So the top stuff, to me, it's mostly overburden per se with topsoil in it.
Nancy?
And as if this is something we do, is it something we'd have to run by planning and zoning or land use?
I think we should, yes. I think
I have a
would be-
question.
Okay.
Yes.
I spoke to Dr. Carver this afternoon or this morning, I forget what it was. She was going to check into that. On the original plan, they were talking about an alternate to extend that field. So there might be approvals already to extend that field, but we chose not to take the alternate. So maybe Dr. Carver can chime in on that.
Sure. I ran into Geraldine right after I talked to you, Mr. Straighten, and she was going to look into it for me. So I don't know if Geraldine, I hate to pass the buck.
I didn't have a chance to do that yet, but in addition to looking into what we already have documentation on, we have talked as a team about the need to meet with Beth Cavagna and make sure that whatever we're doing with these new grades can be approved, and then to find out what documentation she needs in order to review and approve, and whether it's an administrative approval or now it's got to go before the planning and zoning again. We're going to look into all those details. But yeah, the first thing is to find out what we actually already have drawings on.
And then the other question is would earth movers move that fill in lieu of trucking it away for us?
Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
I think what we should do on that is we should put a sketch together for that. I could put a sketch together the area that would be disturbed, so at least they could look at it, to see what it would be. They would have to, grub it per se, pull the couple, shrubs and stuff out, grub it out, and then fill it in. So obviously there is some cost there, but it's also, it's still $100 an hour to have a triax move material. So that's a considerable cost just to move material around. So
Right.
they have to have something.
It might be a break-even thing, but we need to know that. So yeah, if we can get a sketch together and get an idea of what the cost might be, if there's any at all, and then the committee can decide what they want to do with it.
Nancy, this is Gil. I'd like to have a question.
Yep.
Once it's moved, is the grade in a heavy rainstorm going to move, or does it require seeding?
Yeah, it would have to be seeded, but the grade itself would basically follow the existing grades of the field itself. So I don't think you're going to have any real additional problems, runoff, etc. From where it is there. and it's not that significant as far as an area. You know, the amount of fill that they can push into this area is pretty significant. It all could be kind of lost in that one area. It doesn't go that far out. So, you know, obviously, I think we got to do a quick sketch and run it by, you know, land use people and get their feelings as far as where it is. But I think it would be minimal.
One comment. We got to include Park and Rec on that, because the Hayden Trail, that's a well-known trail, and that goes through a large portion of Bethel, and that's going to have to get disturbed. So there may be some commission on that.
Okay.
They may have to be notified.
Okay, because the trail, hey Bob, I think we discussed, and we could do it either way, that the trail could come right back over the hill in the same area. It just would change the grade.
Yeah.
There's no utilities or anything run underneath there, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So Roy's gonna look into some kind of a little sketch. I think Geraldine has to check on any existing approvals or paperwork that might exist. And
I could also bring that down to Beth if you'd like to just to get her feedback on it, if that would be something you want, or you want to wait a while till we go through it one more time?
No, I think that speaking with Beth sooner rather than later is a good idea. So whether you take it down to her, if you can just shoot the sketch to me and I can circulate it, however you want to handle that. But I think we need to understand what is allowed in conjunction with what we want to do. And then there will be, if land use needs further documentation, there may be a cost to that as well. So
Correct.
we want to put the whole package together.
But Geraldine, can you find out what was in the bid package to begin with? Because my understanding, there was an alternate there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought we talked about a wall, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it was alternate number 8, and there was a small, I guess the north west corner had a segmental retaining wall.
Okay.
It only extended down maybe a third of the soccer field.
Huh.
It wasn't the entire way.
Okay.
But did that involve any regrading?
Yes, it had some regrading in there.
So even from that, we might be able to extrapolate, you know, a cost or an impact of this work. We'll put it all together.
Thank you.
okay, good, thanks. So anything else on Johnson? Okay, Ken, you're on again, Rockwell.
Okay, for Rockwell. First page here is work from the last report and percentages, what they were, or if they were complete 100%, and reasons where we may have been delayed or been able to start certain areas. Notably, the PCB testing is, you know, been an ongoing problem with us, and we're continuing to sort through that. Currently, we got 4 tents set up in the gymnasium, different locations, whether it be the wall or whether it be the floors. So we're going through it, and we're making the classrooms priority. So right now, I think we're down to some soil testing in the nurse area, which is one of the critical areas.
So Ken, in the nurse area for B1, where it says metal stud framing door frames PCB testing failed, is that a typical example of you're going to install frames into existing masonry that has PCBs and you can't just drill into it or nail into it to install stuff?
It's more of after removing the floor tile, there's PCBs in the adhesive.
Okay.
And they take, they drill in and take samples.
Right.
see if the PCB's leached
Mhm.
concrete. And so we've had some tests that failed. And so, we've gone around trying to grind them and then only to find out that didn't take care of the problem. So we would grind again. And if we failed again, we were starting to realize that it's costing too much time and money. So we met and decided that there's just some areas that are, it's more cost effective just to remove the concrete and rather than just keep having tests that come back and fail. We lose, 2 to 3 days minimum every maybe 5 days for depending on the size of the area for each test. So it has had an impact on our schedule, but we're hoping to maybe in another week or two be in a better spot where we can start filling some of these places where we've removed the concrete.
So once you remove it, you gotta fill it back in.
Yeah. But at least at that point, when we're taking it out, we know that we still have to have a soil sample even if we take it out. So we're still up against more sampling. But if that doesn't pass, all we have to do is scratch out a couple inches of dirt and run with it.
And are you finding that you're still finding large areas of this, or is this the areas starting to get taken care of so you don't have as many areas to deal with?
Well, we know the areas, the roughly 10 areas, and some of it is just existing painted floor, and it's a red paint that tested hot for PCBs, and we're testing it to try to see if we can get lucky and not have to remove the slab, but we haven't been that lucky. Yeah, and we've got the boiler room that came up hot, and we're trying to figure out if we can encapsulate it with a Secador product that is an epoxy that you paint on. That the contractor has used it at a different school, but it has to be 50 parts per million. The test has to come under 50 parts per million, and I think you have to get DEP approval. But question, I saw Matt sent an email to Environment to try to see if that's something that we can do.
Okay.
So for the, I guess we can go to the next page, the work in progress. So for site work, right now, it's mostly the loading dock walls are being formed, and we're looking to get a pour in for this Friday. There's a lot of work in the front, so we've basically are holding off for another week to finish up a lot of the front work, so then we can just come in with the site work and finish the site work. That's the plan there. For the first floor classrooms, we've got a lot of floor slab demo for the plumbing. That's still ongoing. They were staying late. They stayed late tonight to work on the gang bathrooms on the first floor. So we're gonna try to work extra hours and whatever we have to do to gain some time. The prep, the window openings for the first floor are going pretty well. We're 80%. The windows, phenolic panels are 60%. In the kindergarten wing, the drywall is pretty close to being finished. The electrical rough was a little bit higher than that. That one I'll adjust. And the underslab plumbing at the nurses area, it's all opened up, and That's just an area that we're gonna have the inspections and then get the backfilling and pour, but we still have one area under containment there. The roofing is moving to the boiler room area, so that's that area, and then the cafeteria area roofing is the last area to do. Let's see, prep the window openings for the cafeteria. Oh, I skipped over the kitchen metal stud framing has started. So I didn't have a percentage in here because it hadn't started this morning, but they're probably 10% right now. They've got some track down and so they're getting that going. The water main in the corridor is probably a little higher than that, 35–40% now. The gym we talked about, we're grinding floors and retesting. The roofing did finish for the gymnasium, so that roofing is all done. And work to be started. We have the second floor cleanup for Thursday. What else do we have? We got the infill slabs for Friday is what we're shooting for going around and getting all the infills that we have ready. We're going to be doing the wood blocking for the RTUs so we can start getting ready to set the rooftop units. The kitchen metal framing was starting tomorrow, but I was just up there and they got to start on it this afternoon. The cafeteria roofing is for next week, and the hoping to get into the gym on the 17th, but that's pending getting the abatement out of the way. We did purge the gas line on the roof yesterday, and we did have the roofing contractor meet with the HVAC contractor to go over the supporting of the ductwork and necessary repairs to get the ductwork back so that it's 100%. The roofer did some damage to the ductwork, and the gas pipe will be corrected by Ferguson Mechanical. And that's all I have.
So the item needing, isn't there something that needs specific review on Rockwell too?
I have a question, Nancy.
Okay.
Roy and Dave and I were up on top of the hill by the bocce court, and that's when we noticed all the stuff up on the roof, and we remarked about the roofing and the HVAC that was up there. But also we're concerned about what kind of fence is going to be installed at the top of that slope. And we need to find out the details of that particular fence. Somebody had mentioned a split rail fence. Well, split rail fence, if that's what it is not acceptable. So we did talk about that. So we need to follow up what kind of fence is proposed on top of that slope. Thank you.
So is there something proposed there now, Joe?
Yeah, there is, if I could, there was one of those post and rails, but the rounded type, not the actual split rail. I mean, it's just a different type of post and rail wooden fence.
Yeah, that's not gonna keep the kids out, and that's a pretty steep hill. That's what we're talking about. It's more like, we were thinking more like a chain link fence or something, just because of the grade. If the kids went
Okay.
up and around, we're looking at, I think, Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, or Rich, 4 or 5 feet tall, just something to keep people from tumbling down the hill, basically. Something to keep the access.
Okay.
Yeah,
That definitely will be a location in the wintertime the kids will try to slide down.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's gonna be tough to keep them from climbing up it, but at least if you can keep them going up top and going down.
Hell, I'm gonna try it.
You and me both, Bob.
Just once.
And that's all it'll take.
We'll
So
get
we can
some
get
detail on what that fencing
detail,
looks
what-
like.
I'm sorry.
We'll get some detail on what the specified fencing is and then, and bring it to you and make a decision whether you want to make a change. I mean, sometimes the problem with chain link is that it's easily climbed and now they're even higher. But so let's look at what was actually specified and then see if there's a better solution if need be to safely contain people up there.
Yeah, it was just more of like an insurance thing of, God forbid they say we didn't put something up there enough to keep the kids out, kind of thing. As long as there's a barrier that we did a, feasible amount of restriction that, okay, you tried.
You can get the mini mesh too. They can't climb that.
Okay. I'll leave it with the experts. We were just, spitballing and thinking about, with that kind of an open kind of fence, with the insurance, if somebody got hurt, God forbid, if somebody got hurt, would they say, well, you really didn't try hard enough, so we're going to sue you for X amount of dollars, kind of thing. That's all.
I have a question before we leave this section.
Yep, go ahead.
Hey, Ken, you mentioned that you had the Action Air talk with the roofers in reference to repairs. Will Action Air be making these repairs or will the roofers be making these repairs? Can you clarify?
Yeah, Action Air will make the repairs. The only thing that the roofer does is just make sure that the supports that, are those unistruts that they put together. And all they do is just, they have to be put back in the correct locations. So they have nothing to do with adjusting anything. All the adjustments for making any duct that may have sagged or maybe the joint that has to be resealed is all going to be by Action Air.
That includes
I have a-
electrical connections too as well?
It wasn't what the electrical connections as far as
You had one unit that had seal tight just hanging and dangling out of the bottom, and there's no straps, no nothing, and it's very clear that these were taken out so you can roof underneath them.
yes, that
Basically where I'm
we would
going
have
with
the
this-
electrician. Exactly. Yes.
Basically where I'm going with this is I'd like to, and correct me if I'm going the wrong direction, but I would like to have each trade who has something to do with that up there inspect the work to ensure that it's back the way it's supposed to be. Because I'm going to be left with
agree.
that.
Hey, Bob, you're 100% correct. In fact, I'd be very reluctant to have Action Air doing any roof work. I think that's totally against the warranty. The roofer is the one that's the expert on this stuff. This is in my world, this is unheard of.
So, Roy, can I? Bob and I walked
Right now, I think you're misunderstanding what we were talking about. The roofer is not doing anything related to the ductwork. All the roofer is
I'm looking at some of those penetrations that were on there, and those penetrations should have a roofer put them on. They're not, this isn't a HVAC.
They are doing all the penetrations.
Roy.
The pictures I saw didn't clearly show that at all.
Roy, those were done by the roofer. That's what scares the hell out of me. Those penetrations, the pictures, I don't know if you saw the pictures I took.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
When Bob and I walked it last week, like I said, I've done this my adult life. I have never seen such a disaster. This is an absolute, if me being me, I would take every piece of ductwork off that roof and start from scratch. And the reason being is if you saw the twisted and bent insulation on the ductwork that was and the gaps and everything that was left over, the pitches were wrong. They did. I'll give the sheet metal contractor they did a great job, but those roofers destroyed everything on that roof. That has to start from scratch, from the beginning, off the ductwork, through the penetration through the roof, and all new. I'm going to accept anything less because that is a complete disaster. Bob and I were up there. We were watching two guys in a roofing contractor putting screws through a rubber membrane to hold the unistrut down to the ballast or whatever you want to I'm sorry, I'm getting really frustrated right now, and I'm going to lose my concentration. It was just that bad. I've never seen such a shit show in my life. That is unacceptable. And me being this committee, I'm not going to accept anything less than them coming back and starting from scratch. And how this was not organized from day one, that why would you allow gas pipe and ductwork to be put up before a new roof is beyond me.
That's the question I have too, the coordination of that.
You're going backwards on this. This is absolutely asinine. And the roof was wavy. The roof had gaps. It was just a mess. And that's why I really like if we could all go up there and take a look at it, because it is just an absolute mess.
Yeah.
It had to be done that way.
And I think this is the time when those work pads should be put down around this equipment.
Absolutely.
Everyone's walking on it.
Absolutely.
I know I picked up a whole pocket full of screws.
Yep. There's not going to be anything left of the roof by the time we get it.
No, it's a joke. I'm sorry. It's a joke. We've got grade A equipment up there. We've got the best of the equipment. And the ductwork, like I said, it was probably pristine when it was put in, but there's gaps and twists. I sent pictures out of gas line that was
I saw that.
Kilter by 3 feet on a perfectly plumb run.
And you had the boot, the connection boots were ripped.
Yeah. It's just, and they're putting, lag bolts through the membrane into the ballast to hold the unistrut down. Well, there's leaks right there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I don't know.
So Ken, what are we doing to remediate this situation?
So the actionaire is going to repair the ductwork so that it's back to new, and the roofer is going to make sure the supports are in the correct locations, and the electrician is going to fix the electrical line, and the mechanical contractor is going to fix the gas piping.
But so now are we going to repressurize the gas piping and test it all? Are we going to recheck all the ductwork, pressurize it and test all? Because you have to take the insulation off to do that, off the ductwork to pressure test it. So now that means you have to reinstall all the ductwork and reseal it. And that after the ductwork is done, after the roof is done. So that means all the ductwork should come off the roof as well as the gas line to put the roof down properly, and then go back and put down your pitch boxes and everything else to make sure that you have a tight roof. Then you proceed from there. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not, Dave.
And then also, is there any additional charge to this? Who's paying for this?
We're not paying for it.
No.
And
There's no contingency. There's no nothing on this. This is on coordination, which was terrible in my opinion. And the way
I gotta tell you about the coordination, because the phasing was done so that the students could occupy the second floor. That because of that, there was no way that we could take the PCB roofing off while the students were in school, and there's just not enough vacation time to do that roofing. So the only way to have done it and get the spaces ready for the HVAC equipment was to run it on the existing roof and put the new roofing on later.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Once school was canceled back in March, was the roof even on yet?
No.
Okay, so then why didn't we change
Just a
that?
section of it by the stair, because we were having such a hard time with the stair tower. So we did the stair tower all the way up to the front of the bump outs in these.
Okay, but so my point is, then why did we proceed with putting stuff on the roof when we knew school was canceled till at least June? We could have done the roof prior to that and then done the mechanicals after the fact.
The HVAC was already in place.
By March?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I have a comment. Now, the amount of damage was immense. Okay, there's a lot of damage there. And it must have took some time. Where was your site foreman? Didn't he see some of this happening? Couldn't he have said, whoa, let us finish the roof here? That's the coordination I'm talking about. The actual day-to-day, hey, stop right there. Look, what are you doing? You're disconnecting something you shouldn't be. That's what I can't understand. And I don't mean to throw rocks. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to, I'm a taxpayer, and I'm also intimately involved with this, and I'm going to be left with it when you drive away. That's why I'm not going to let it happen.
It's going to be impossible to services.
Well, I'll be chasing my tail trying to repair roof leaks and then try to get units running and then have gas leaks.
Yeah.
So how are we going to resolve all this so that we don't have gas leaks, so that the units are running correctly, so that we're getting heat where we need, air conditioning where we need, it's not leaking out into the air? Make sure the gas lines, I mean, it's going to pass inspection first of all, but make sure it works and it's not going to be causing problems. And then if there's going to be more wandering around on the roof, are you going to get something up there to put down as people walk around and work on the roof so there's not more damage done to the roof?
I will talk to the contractor, and we'll have Rick from IES. He'll be inspecting whatever we do as far as a work plan on putting it back together so that it's acceptable. And it's the same with the mechanical, the gas line as well. You know, it has to be retested and inspected.
Well, one other thing too, though, is the duct work needs to be checked as well, because if it's leaking and you have water filtration, it's sitting stagnant for months on end. What could possibly be growing in the ductwork with the dust and everything else that's collected over time? Is there something that could be in there? So now if you have to have that tested or cleaned, how's that going to be paid for? Who's going to do that? There's a lot of stuff.
So none of this happened in a vacuum. And Bob, when you're out here next time, we can show you the correspondence with the roofer. He's been a problem from the beginning. And the reason that none of this is an issue as far as payment is because he's been notified and put on notice from the first day that he touched the gas pipe. So it's been a struggle with him even getting him to perform his work. But as far as who's got to pay for that repair, the reason the roofer's involved is we notified him that if he's not involved, we'll do it and we'll spend his money doing it.
I'm sorry, last question for me. Is this the same roofer that is doing Johnson as well?
No, that's a different company.
Why does it seem that Johnson is doing so much better than Rockwell?
To be fair, and the big difference is there's no abatement on the Johnson roof, and you don't have on the Johnson roof the same condition of putting a new roof, like a re-roof of an existing where you're trying to work around new equipment. You don't have that condition over at Johnson.
All right, let me rephrase this. Why does Johnson overall, everything, seem to be running better than Rockwell? And in my opinion, it's coming down to who is managing the site.
Well, I don't think we can say that specifically. I think you have to look at from the very beginning, Rockwell had a lot more issues, problems, etc. going. It's a much tighter space to begin with. We couldn't do an addition. We had to stay within what we have as a footprint. It's an older school, so we knew coming out that there were going to be a lot more abatement issues, and we've had even more than we thought, you know, mostly with PCBs. I'm not there every day, so I don't see all of the different things that could be coming up and that need to be watched. If we think this is an issue, we may need to look at it that way. However, it's like, in a way, Rockwell's like the poor stepchild, because it started out with a whole lot of issues, and then more and more and more and more have come up.
I completely get it, and I've been on plenty of those jobs. But to me, it still comes down to site supervision of escalating things of, hey, I see this, we should be doing this, or hey, maybe we should think about doing that. That's all I'm saying, is it just doesn't seem like we're getting the same kind of
Oversight.
oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, oversight compared to the two. I know it's two different people. I get it. I don't know either one of them. I'm just saying, it just seems from what I've seen from the brief period of time I've been doing this or been on this committee, and the years I've been doing this, it's really, you walk Johnson and you walk Rockwell. I get it. They're two different beasts. Completely understand. And I've done this, and it just seems night and day to me. And maybe I'm completely wrong, and you can tell me I am, but to me, it just is a stark difference.
If I could add, Nance?
Sure.
And I've expressed this to Jim and Ken and Tony Rizzo, quite frankly. I just want to reinforce what David's saying. I could provide numerous examples where things have happened, we're not notified. There's a lack of urgency, lack of care around different things, and it is an issue. And I feel, so I just want to support what he's saying, and I think Bob would agree with me.
Yeah.
Because, and again, I could provide numerous examples of things that have happened, and I know Bob could too, but it's like there's not an attention to detail, or like there's a I mean,
Water
stupid
leaking,
things like there's water dripping from the ceiling, and there's not a garbage can underneath the water. You know, and it's like, why do I have to, as a superintendent of schools, tell somebody to put a can under dripping water? I mean, so I hear the frustration on that front.
So what can we do about it going forward?
Well, I just have one small comment, and I'll shut up, because I don't want to go down this road. But this must have been known by the Rizzo people, and we're bringing it up. Why is that? Jim, you stated that you've been having issues with the roofer, so this is kind of something that's been known, but why wasn't it told to us? If we didn't go up there, if we didn't see it, would the level of attention it's going to get now would have been then? That's the only comment I'll make, and I'll back off.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last comment.
Well, Bob just said, Jim, that if he hadn't seen it, he's
No,
not
I'm sorry.
confident.
I
Yeah.
heard that, but I thought somebody else made another comment.
No.
I
Nobody else.
wanted to make sure I answered completely. So, Bob, it's not that we were running and hiding from anything. We've spoken.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
We've spoken to the building inspector about it, you know, highlighted areas that we're concerned as far as bringing them back up to speed. It's been a battle, no doubt, but it's certainly not something we were running away from. And again, there's lots of things that come up with difficult subcontractors. And, you know, if this is something that we should have brought to you guys to at least highlight and tell you what we were doing with it, that's our mistake. We should have done that, but it wasn't an intent of running away from anything or looking to get, you know, shoddy work accepted or anything like that.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know, there's been some battle, most of us here have battle scars from other projects that were done in Bethel. And that's why we're being really cautious. We're not going to let it happen again.
And Jim, Jim, just to add to that, like, not to compare to Johnson, but I go to Johnson, I get a good rundown. I get good communication about issues, and I stop by the site at least once or twice a week.
I do, yes.
And because I feel an obligation to keep an eye on things also. And so I just feel like the communication, the lack of attention, the lack of urgency is definitely more prominent at Rockwell. And and Terry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. So my concern is to add to what Bob is saying. Our battle scars come from a project that was a addition and renovate. It was not a renovate to new. These are approved with state of Connecticut dollars as renovate to new, which means we are attesting to the state that every system that's been replaced is valid for 20 years plus. So I think maybe we need to share that with some of these subs. This is not a patch job. This is a renovate to new. It has to be as if when you walk away, it is renovated for 20 plus years. Bob Germanero should not be chasing issues in the first 15 years to 20 years of after the project is done. There should not be problems because it was done. It was billed that way. It was approved that way by the state of Connecticut. The costs are supposed to be reflective of that. So it's important that we understand what the product is that we're supposed to get at the end.
Understood.
Good point, Terry. Thank you.
Nancy,
What?
do
Dave?
we trust this roofing contractor to go repair the job?
What was that?
Do we trust the roofing contractor to do the good job? And I don't know if Geraldine wants to weigh in too.
I think he'll be able to do it to the manufacturer's specifications. I've already had the manufacturer out here and he has done a site visit. And I've got a report from John Mansfield Roofing.
I mean, we have to be able to get our warranty on this.
Yes, correct. And I specifically called them in midway to do a field report. It's required by specs and,
Right.
you know, they don't normally do it unless they're, you know, forced into doing it.
See, I mean, that's what has me concerned. That was my first concern to start with the HVAC guys doing the work. I mean, typically for any warranty type work, the roofing contractor has to do the work. That's what we've always done.
Correct. He is responsible for all the supports being watertight, flashed in properly.
Yeah, I'm just concerned when I see penetrations going on, just kind of arbitrarily pushed through. It has me very concerned as far as warranty issues.
And the problem with that is until they get it fixed, how much water is going to penetrate and
Right.
rotting things away, the Q decking and everything else below until it is
Yeah,
fixed.
I mean, they do a temporary patch for now, but I mean, many of those items, those couple of pictures that I saw, you know, those things have to be removed and the proper boots have to be put on.
You're absolutely
And
correct.
typically that's always been done. Any of the work that we've ever done, the roofing contractor has performed that, you know, not an HVAC guy. So that's my concern.
But in this situation, the roofers screwed up the HVAC stuff.
Yeah.
And no, but you know, the warranty is going to be with the roofer, not with the HVAC guys.
I understand that. So the roofers are gonna then have to go back. If HVAC has got to put, do they have to be there at the same time so that one's saying, here's a support and you put it in? And,
Right.
Yep.
That's,
Every trade,
Yep.
every trade has to be there. Electricians,
that's,
gas, every trade.
Bob is absolutely 100% correct.
Now,
Working
moving
use.
forward, can we at least have a status update of these repairs reflected in this week-to-week update? so we can keep abreast of how you're progressing with the repairs?
Bob, you mean the trailer meeting?
Either or, either this document here I'm looking at or the trailer meetings. At least we're kept up to speed on what we've noted and what the current status is and when they expect to complete it so it can be inspected.
I think it should be done at the trailer meetings, but also brought to us too, since we've not only seen pictures, but for many of us have seen firsthand what's going on. And we want that to be, we want an HVAC system that works and a roof that doesn't leak, period.
Right. I mean, we can meet up there and go over it if anybody wants to to make sure that we're getting everything that you're seeing. I mean, right now we have a pretty good handle on everything that was in Rick's report and everything that the contractor's bringing up. We're going to make sure that we take care of, and as we go, we'll have it inspected and provide reports.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
And to add, I think just ongoing communication. So if something's coming up that we need to be aware of, we shouldn't have to go up on the roof and see those things. That should be essential core part of that communication.
Agreed. So Ken and Jim, can we get that, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So do we have any other questions or things we need to bring up on the project update?
On the commissioning agent?
What was that question, John?
Is the roof included with our commissioning agent?
I don't believe the roof is, but I think
No.
he pointed out the issues that he saw with the duct work
Right.
and the gas line.
That day we were up there, he called me up there because he wanted me to witness the operation of the unit, the control package, basically, the whole operation of it. But we weren't able to see any of it because nothing was functional at that point. So we kind of wasted a commissioning agent's time there.
He wasn't called to be on site that day, Bob?
I don't know about that, but he was there and he called for me to because he knows I'm into that control package, and I wanted to make sure that the automation was he could show me a little bit about the automation. He could show me a little bit about those brand new Aeon units.
Right.
Pretty high tech units. Dave will tell you they're pretty high tech, and we're going to have to get right from day one a very solid understanding of how the operation works before you guys drive away. I need to be very comfortable with it.
Anything else?
I have a concern that all this additional work is not going to interfere with the completion date.
Point.
Good concern.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of extra work and it's going to take time. And I know we have to have the schools completed by September for reopening. And is that going to impact all this additional work?
No, we're gonna have them do it as soon as possible, and it's gonna be done before September. That's we have to get it done so that we're there during school. It's got to be functional and commissioned.
Absolutely.
And if they have to work extra, you need to make sure there's somebody there. If they're working on a Saturday or whatever, somebody's got to be there to supervise them because they obviously need major supervision.
I will gladly volunteer to take a site walk every few days since I work from home.
Okay, we can get that organized at some point.
Thank you.
So on our reports, on those two progress updates, is there anything else anybody has questions on, comments, etc., or anything from Ken or Jim? So there's also a construction schedule update. I don't know, as you gave us a hard copy of a schedule, do you have a schedule update for us, Ken, Jim?
So we did receive the updated schedule, detailed
right.
schedule through the end of the year, and I did post it on this shared site. I
Right.
send it because it's a large file. I can send it around if anybody can't access it through the shared site. I didn't intend for us to go into any great detail on it unless there's anything that Ken and Jim want to highlight, or if there are any questions on completion schedule from anybody who's already reviewed what's posted.
Does anybody have questions, or to Ken or Jim, do you have anything that you need to make us aware of?
Long term.
We spoke about the issue with Johnson's entrance. That's a real concern. The thing we're fighting over at Rockwell are these PCB slabs. Those are two areas where those are areas of concern, but we're fighting through it.
We need the support for the CMU at Rockwell. We did, oh, we just got it, never mind.
Okay, good. And so that Johnson vestibule is, you finally did get started working on that, but that's really got to get going.
No, we did not just start working on that. That is a new drawing that we just got now that we've got to look at and go over with all the different trades involved.
That's what I meant, that you've been waiting for that and you just got it. It was on the report as an issue, and then now you've got to go through all of that and make sure, because that's an issue of something that needs to be done for the end of August.
Best we can hope there is if, I've already been communicating with Joe, if they can give us the foundation changes, we can at least get that excavated and backfilled so that if we are waiting for steel, at least we'll be able to pave that area as we wait for the steel to get there.
Jim, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah, sure.
Is the issue that we would lose access to the entrance, or that there's some electronics in that area that are critical, like the alarm panel? Like, what's the, I guess I'm not seeing, listen, I know it needs to get done.
It's the same ballistic entrance that you have at Rockwell.
Right.
It's
But if we had to reroute people,
you could do that, yes.
It's not going to stop the school from being open.
No, just the access, through that point.
I just wanted to understand if it's just that losing that entrance versus something bigger that I don't understand.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's just the access through that point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, anybody need anything else on the schedule? So next on the agenda there is the budget review.
So I think under budget review, we want to go to this reaward of some of the furniture package that was approved at the last meeting.
Okay.
So the backstory there, I sent an email about this around to everyone. The one of the vendors was awarded, I don't know, $13,000 worth of product at one school and 17 at another. Some small number of pieces. They're not a local Connecticut vendor. We've never worked with them before. They're in fact from Pennsylvania. And at the end of the day, after they received their award, they notified the town that they are withdrawing their bid because the package was too small to make sense for them to supply, which makes sense. It's just too bad that it came after the initial award. Perkins Eastman went back and looked at the second lowest bidder for each of those items. We posted the summary. This doesn't exactly highlight the items that were reawarded, but this would be the new total value, and then the individual awards changed in that some of these items had to be reawarded, as the purchase orders have to be redone for some of the other vendors, but everything did have a second bid that we were able to reassign. I don't know, Joe, if you want to talk about that for a little bit while I plug in my computer. That's about battery.
Yeah, so like Geraldine said, we re-award it to the second lowest bidder. Bids obviously did go up a little bit, but I think it didn't affect all the vendors, but it affected 3 for each of the schools.
And maybe if I look at that email that I sent around, you'll see the detail on what did happen to the pricing. So the Rockwell School package increased by $13,500. Partly that is because of a set of I think it was book carts, where every other vendor had provided a price that was about $1,500 a piece. And the vendor that we awarded it to was like $400 a piece. And so that was probably the bulk of that increase. And then at Johnson, the total value of that furniture package only increased $2,088.81. So I think what we're asking for today is sort of an approval of the new total award for each of the schools, recognizing that they are both still under the budget estimate that was provided back when we started with the furniture specifications. And then I think along with that approval of the new total price, just the acceptance of the re-award to certain bidders. These are the rebids that will go to back to the procurement committee so that they can reaffirm the awards. Something like this bid for Rockwell who is this? Robert Lord. Robert H. Lord. Originally, they were just getting the cafeteria tables, and now they've become the low bidder for these book carts here, storage number 12. So that's the sort of thing. We took all the reawards went to previously awarded bidders, and we just added on a couple of pieces to their bids.
So can we approve the total for each school, or do we have to do each change?
So I think last time it was just the total for each school, but referencing that these low bids as recommended would be awarded to the appropriate vendor from their individual bid response. So you can do that, or if you want to go through each bid. I have all the retabulations. I just don't have information as to what the difference is on some of these. We'd have to dig back into what the new totals are.
Right, yeah, we didn't break it out that way.
Yeah. But I think the new totals here would be adequate.
Okay. So
last time you just did totals. I don't think you did anything but totals.
Okay.
That's what I think, but.
Well,
I
but we can
believe that's
also,
correct.
you can say as per attached spreadsheets.
Yes.
And you can just mention the increase per school, increase by 13,000 for a new total of blah, blah, blah.
Then maybe we should look at this other document. So this one lists what the new totals are and what the increase was over the previous award recommendation.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we'll start with Rockwell. So I'll make a motion that we approve the new amount of the FF&E bid package B for Rockwell School in the total of $350,765.12 as per the attached spreadsheets, because you'll attach them for procurement to deal with them.
Right.
Which is a cost increase over the previous amount of $13,508.90.
Second.
So Dave Olson seconds it. Like we can mention too that it is still under budget. And does anybody have any questions or see that anything needs to be added to or changed in the motion?
Just say about because last time it was, you basically were approving it to go to the procurement committee. That's.
Okay, so we're, yes, approving it to go to the procurement committee for their award. I guess they have to do the awarding. Okay, any other questions of anything about this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right.
Aye.
So does anybody a no? It's unanimous. Okay, so for Johnson School, I make a motion that we approve the new amount for bid package, FF&E bid package B. Award total being $527,436.74, with an increase of $2,088.81 over the original award that we had approved. Still under budget. And this will go to the procurement committee for their award with the attached spreadsheet for their review.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Any discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Unanimous. Okay.
And I think just to kind of close out that agenda item, a quick look at the budget and to indicate where we're at with completion. Before approving any invoices or the requisition tonight, we are at about 56% invoiced against budget for all for construction and all other vendors. We're at about 60% on construction alone at Johnson. And prior to any changes in budget line items later under PCO review, we currently have $1,547,175 in the owner's contingency and a little under 100,000 left in the environmental contingency, which we currently do not expect to expend at all, but we'll see. And at Rockwell, similarly, we have invoiced against the total project about 61% of the budget. In construction there, we are at 63%, and $641,571 left in contingency.
So we're going to continue with Rockwell, at least seeing that contingency drain with environmental issues.
That's correct.
And are we, I know Ken was talking about it earlier, especially all the stuff in the floors. Are we some percentage kind of through some of that, or a guesstimate?
Yeah, on a percentage, I'd say, well, earlier Ken had indicated, and I agree with this, that there's probably a couple more weeks left of abatement. We have at least identified all of the floor areas that require work. We're probably, when we started that exercise, there were 15 different areas throughout the school, and I think we've probably resolved 4 or 5 of them so far. So we're working through them. From the classroom areas are probably all resolved, and now we're closer to the boiler room areas where we need to continue to look at abatement there. So I don't know about percentage. I think that we are, we're probably $20,000 away from the whole monitoring and testing piece of it. I don't know, I don't really have a good handle on what part of the abatement that's ongoing is going to come to us as a change order and what isn't. So we'll have to look into that maybe more closely before the next meeting.
A rough order of magnitude for some of the ticket work that they've been doing. And right now it's close to 65,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ken, you were saying earlier that you've gotten to the point where you can, like, can you, after you've done some grinding, just finally say, no, let's just take the whole floor out, or are you going ahead and just taking?
Yeah, we're at that point where it's you know, just more cost efficient to take the slab out.
Take it right out, yeah.
And more time, and it really saves on the schedule because it's not just the work to grind, it's the, as Ken had said earlier, it's the time then we test and we wait for the test results to get back. Then we decide what to do about it, and then we do it all again. So
Right.
at least just taking the offending material out in the first place helps with the schedule, even if the cost ends up being a wash with the work that we would have done to grind.
Okay. Any questions, comments on the budget, Art, from anyone?
I don't know if this falls under it or not, but with the cleaning of the spaces, is that something that will fall under this budget?
So that is the cleaning of the spaces, the additional cleaning of the spaces.
Well, actually, I was talking more of when I walked through Barry with Bob 2 weeks ago, the new furniture was absolutely covered in dust.
So Rockwell.
Oh, Rockwell.
No, well, Barry first, wasn't it?
No, either Johnson or Rockwell.
I'm sorry, Johnson. I'm not the Barry. God, I'm sorry.
I know.
Good Lord. Johnson. Down near the the new lobby or the main drop-off was absolutely covered in dust, and that's not porous furniture, but it is bumpy, I guess you call it, whatever. It's not smooth, and it's just absolutely filthy. Is that part of the end cleaning, or is that something? I mean, I don't understand why it wasn't covered up. I guess I should ask, is why wasn't all that new furniture covered up and taken care of?
Your guess is as good as anybody's. It should have been covered. It should have been installed in finished spaces. We do maintain that the construction team owes us a cleaning, not just of the spaces, but of any furniture that was installed in those spaces while their work was ongoing.
Okay, so then that will be taken care of before it's installed. I take it at no charge to the town of Bethel.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, on to the next item of the agenda.
So the next item on the agenda used to say Perkins Eastman additional services request, but we've changed that because now I am coming to you with an additional services request from STV. I hope everyone has had a chance to read through the explanation that I put together. It's kind of lengthy, and then it has some charts and stuff. I think the basic premise is that as STV was looking at how we were going to manage the completion of this project against the new schedules, we also discovered that our burn rate on our hours was running higher than we had anticipated, and that potentially the amount of money left to continue the job was less than we had expected it would be in June. So when I dug a little deeper, I discovered that we have been providing services that were not required under our contract, and ideally we would have noticed this early when the services first came up as a possibility. But honestly, it involves primarily our move management services, and since this is something that we do as an typically do as an integrated part of our services to manage projects, it didn't even occur to me. But when I did have a chance to go back and look at both the RFP that the town issued and the contract that we eventually, our proposal and eventually agreement that we had, I just did discover that there was no provision and no requirement for us to provide move management services. So then when I went back and looked at every invoice that we've submitted to you has a description of the work that we've done by employee, by staff member. And I was able to tabulate the number of hours that had gone into move. And primarily that's easy because we have one staff person that's pretty much dedicated to move management, and he's been on the job quite a bit. And so I was able to put together a tabulation of the hours that we consider to be in excess of our original contract value. And secondarily, the original RFP and our proposal and schedules that were provided to us during the RFP period indicated that construction would run from October of 2018 to August of 2020, when in fact that schedule has really shifted and construction didn't start until February and now is going to go all the way through December as we finish up site work, December of 2020, with our closeout tasks then pushing into next year. So the two basic reasons that we're looking for more fee because we spent more hours is because of the extended pre-construction period and also the move management work that we ended up doing and will continue to do through August. These two matrices reproduce what was in our original proposal with the addition of this extended pre-con line item and then the move management that we did at each school. And then you'll see we're keeping the construction phase fee, obviously the pre-construction that's already done, and we're keeping our closeout projections for fee the same and just asking for these additional fee amounts based on additional services that we provided. At Rockwell, it totals $56,226. At Johnson, it totals $69,523. So that's the basic premise there. And in support of that, I don't know if you wanted, Nancy, some discussion of that first, or do you want me to go right to these little spreadsheets that indicate how this might work into the budget?
So how about, does anybody have any questions for Geraldine initially on the proposal and or the documentation of hours spent, et cetera?
This is the first I'm seeing it, but I just, my question, I know they did start late. I've been doing research, so I'll leave it up to the rest of the team to comment on this.
But if we start it late, I mean, didn't everything get pushed up? I mean, isn't it still basically the same 4 months, you know, difference between October and it gets moved to, let's say, February, and then the August gets moved to December? Am I missing something there?
So yes, you're correct. The construction time period, time duration does stay the same. But the time that we spent pre-construction between, say, October and February is where the additional time came in. And at that point, we were you know, working on tasks in excess of the hours that we had initially projected for pre-construction. So, for instance, you know, our fee proposal said we would spend, you know, a certain number of hours totaling $19,000 on Rockwell in the pre-construction period leading up to October. When that shifted, when that end date shifted from October to February, we ended up spending another $14,000 worth of fee. Again, it's a calculation that I can go into some detail on by looking at the invoices and indicate that show the hours that were billed up to that February start of construction on both projects, and then backing out the fee that were committed to under our basic services.
Any other questions, comments? Obviously not something that we can jump into making a decision on tonight. We do have to do some discussing on our own, looking at this. And I think it's, in looking at what I saw, seeing right now here, but saw with what Geraldine sent out, it's very specific as to where the time was spent or the time will be spent, and where the overages are and where they're not. How does this impact the budget overall is kind of what we're going to have to look at, I think.
So to start to answer that question, I put together a really, really rough spreadsheet that might help to address the affordability of additional services for the move management work that we did. This spreadsheet is based on a number of outstanding additional costs yet to be brought to the building committee or yet to be realized in the budget. And I just want to briefly go through some of the line items. This is both a combination of Rockwell and Johnson. Right now, should you approve all of the PCOs we're going to talk about next, I kind of jumped ahead, and you will have at Rockwell remaining $616,968 in the owner's contingency, and at Johnson, 1.5 million remaining in the contingency. If we start subtracting all of the current sort of on the table contingency expenses, I've listed the full ask from Perkins Eastman for each school, 123 and 184,000. The full ask from STV, 56,000 and 69,000. There are some outstanding PCOs, for instance, the Ferguson electrical feeder PCOs that you have considered but tabled. At Rockwell, that's an outstanding number of 23,770 and 125,000 at Johnson for those alternate feeder routes, not through the corridors. We're currently negotiating, or we have on the sort of the PCOs yet to be brought to the commission. We have a couple of abatement PCOs. That's at Rockwell, 74,000, at Johnson, 14,000. In addition to that, there's the 65,000, I think now that Ken has brought us from the concrete work. So these numbers are not, they're estimates at this point. But I have projected another 150,000 at each school for additional PCOs, which I think is a very high number that covers a lot of possibilities, because here in my notes, currently the value of PCOs at Rockwell is 313,000 to date. I think the chances of us actually spending another 150,000 are remote, but I wanted to be conservative in this budget. Likewise, at Johnson, we have had to date $369,000 in PCOs approved. Again, 150 is kind of a high target through the end of the project. We know that there will be additional abatement testing for the ongoing work at Rockwell. I've estimated at 29,000. These are the numbers to date that we've spent on testing and monitoring at the two schools. And then, of course, we have additional moves in August that were not those that the cost of the move vendors was not increased to cover all of the moves the last time we talked about it. So I threw in some numbers there. So we're potentially looking at another $481,000 of additional costs at Rockwell. When you subtract that from the remaining owner's contingency, you would still have a remaining contingency of $135,000. Similarly, at Johnson, all those known and estimated additional costs come to 574. And when you subtract those from the current contingency, you still have a contingency remaining of $958,705. So what I'm trying to show here is that even if the worst case scenario sort of comes true with the additional pending costs between now and September or now in December, they still are able to be absorbed by your contingency. And then sort of just as additional information, we already know that, that Rockwell is running over budget. The original budget approved at the state level for Rockwell was 24 million and plus, but the GMP amount approved was 26 million. This is not just construction, but this is the overall project at the point that the GMP was set. So we started out knowing that Rockwell was going to be in the whole $1.4 million. On the other hand, we make out much better at Johnson, where we know that we're running 1.4 ahead. And so when you factor those all the contingencies into that, we see that that Rockwell has the potential to be $1.2 million above budget, but Johnson has the potential to be $2.3 million below budget. And if you even them both out, we come out ahead $1.1 million. Now, we've had previous discussions about what the difference is between how the state considers the two projects and how the town does. We know that from Marty Lawler that the town referendum lumped both projects together, and so the approval was really based on sort of the combination of both projects and approved for funding by the town. We know that when we go to the state, we're going to have to negotiate with them at the end of the project to see whether or how they can agree to reimburse for money that will end up shifting from Johnson into Rockwell, but that's a story for a later time. So as I said, this is just an exercise to show how these additional costs can be absorbed by the project. And then just a note down here that as of today, there is still money also in the CM's contingency, which if they do not expend it, gets returned to the town. But we're not considering any of that in this exercise. So I've posted this little spreadsheet on the shared drive. Since this was the worst case scenario, I also took another shot at it and looked at maybe some more reasonable, how much better do we make out if we take some more reasonable costs by negotiating some of these numbers down, assuming a lower number of change orders going forward. Again, since the worst case scenario has us coming out ahead on the combined two projects, obviously this analysis has the projects coming out under budget combined, even under this scenario. So those are my support documents, both to indicate to you how we've provided additional services at with additional hours and at an additional cost, and then an effort to indicate how they can be afforded by the project going forward.
So it's to 100% completion?
Yes.
And these two spreadsheets, Gerald, and the two that you just did, were not part of the original proposal that you sent out, but they're on the shared drive now, is that?
That's correct. They're not part of the proposal because I can't really guarantee all those other decisions being made, but on the shared drive, they are both there. So you can take a look at what the impact is, not only of STV's initial additional ask, but the impact of the Perkins Eastman additional services request, and then also the impact of, because we are going to have to deal with some of these PCOs pretty quickly. But you'll see the impact of adopting those PCOs fully as proposed on the budget. It was an opportunity to kind of show how all of those numbers are going to affect the budget. And I will point out, much as I know Perkins Eastman did, the additional services numbers that I am indicating here will continue to be invoiced on an hourly basis. So as we work the hours during the month, we will indicate on the invoice what we're doing for you, and you will see it's sort of a not to exceed, I guess you could consider it, billed on an hourly basis. But this is my projection of what it will take for us to complete the project. We are not, even though construction at this point, not only is the construction of the building is going to push past August, where we know that Rockwell is going to be delivered probably end of September and Johnson fully end of October, with the site work and everything wrapped up in December. We are not proposing that we extend any of our ask for additional fee for that extension in the construction duration. Primarily, as was pointed out earlier, because the construction period shifted, but the duration of it did not change.
Nancy?
Sure. Yep. Rich?
The question, Geraldine, thank you for the spreadsheets. You explained it very well where your time was spent. But my question is the same as Perkins Eastman. Here we are 3/4 away in the project, and you say a lot of this goes back to the extended time for pre-construction, and that we're just hearing about it now. Maybe if we knew that it was running along in the beginning, we could have adjusted the scope of work for you or looked at something else. I'm very concerned about, we're 3/4 away the job now, and we're getting hit with the administration costs for you and Perkins Eastman. So I think the committee really has to go over the numbers and see what the whole story is. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Does anybody else?
I share Richie's concerns.
Anybody else have questions or comments? Again, obviously not something that we can jump into and make a decision on tonight. I think we'll have to have a meeting, just us, hopefully very soon. We can decide that. And again, all this is available for review. Some of it, part of what Geraldine sent out in the documents for tonight's meeting, and then these last two spreadsheets are on the shared drive. So we can review further, and then we'll probably have to check into with Marty as to how, if we were going to proceed with something like this in any amount, how we would proceed with it.
I agree.
One more question.
Sure, go ahead.
Carolyn, could you send me on my email? I'm not that familiar with the shared drive, so if you could send me to my email address, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely will do. I will.
Actually, you'd send it to all of us. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send the initial proposal as well as these two spreadsheets around to everybody again.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not on the Google Drive either. Thank you.
Nancy,
Yep.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How much of the STV added services request has already been spent?
None,
None?
none.
Okay. It's all in front of us.
And honestly, if you were to not accept any additional services proposal from us, we would obviously rework our hours in a way that would continue through the end of the project in a way that serves the project but spends a lot less hours, particularly of my time. So, but to date, we have not expended our current contract, and we haven't spent, other than the fact that we've done all the work on the moves, but we haven't billed anything beyond our original contract.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy, may I comment?
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to say that without Geraldine, we wouldn't be where we are today. She has really put 100% effort, her and her team. I just want to get that comment on the record. She's really helped us out on the school side, and I know she's helped it out on the town side.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that. I do want to point out that I think obviously the bigger part of our additional request is about the move management, and that has on this project become even more complicated than one would have originally thought at the beginning of the project, and mostly over the last couple of months where, school was over, but we didn't know it was over for good. So we moved a few things, then school stopped again. Then we had to move things around to accommodate phasing. I think if we had known, things obviously would have worked differently, particularly on the move management side. And that is something that I'm not really involved with. My team is, but I don't see how you could have managed these moves. Movers don't typically come in and know what to do and where to go and how to structure their time. And that's one real value add that we bring to projects is that management time. So I just want to make another plug for that for our move people.
Yeah, I would just like to add that this is one of those unforeseen things that you didn't know, you couldn't do. And everything I've seen from Geraldine and her people, they've been stand-up people and they've done their job to the best of their ability. So,
thank you.
Thanks. All right, so if we have any other questions on this right now, bring it up. Otherwise, read through, make some notes. And again, we're going to have to get together and meet and make some, take a good hard look at this and make some decisions sometime soon, we hope. So thanks, Geraldine.
Yep.
It was very thorough and I appreciate that.
And if it was confusing, just like you said, ask her, I'll provide more information. So.
Well, if Geraldine's going to send all that out, then everybody can review it again, not just the proposal with the initial spreadsheets, but the additional spreadsheets.
Yep.
Obviously, we can't, I think questions can be asked of Geraldine, but we can't really do a back and forth discussion through email. But if you have questions, you can ask.
Or you can compile the questions and let me know, and
Right.
Yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay.
So proposed change orders, we have 3 for Johnson and a couple for Rockwell. Some of them are similar between the 2 schools. So we'll start at Johnson. PCO 53 is for additional network drops. There were some connections needed between lighting control panels and other devices in order to connect them to the building management system. So and this is true at both schools. Here at Johnson, this is a change order in the amount of $9,617.07. I can pull up that change order. Let's see. This is totally obviously a Ferguson document. And it has to do with additional low voltage connectivity in the electrical closet, in the, whoops, excuse me. In the boiler room, in another electrical closet, and in another electrical closet. And those were the locations. And as I said, the amount is $9,617.07.
Okay, so I think in the past we've done these one at a time, so we might as well do that, and then there can be discussed. So I'll make the motion. Somebody can second. We'll discuss if needed, ask questions, etc. So this is Johnson. So I make a motion that we approve PCO number 53 for Johnson in the amount of $9,617.07 for additional network data drops.
Second it.
Who was that?
David Horvath.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So any questions on this? It sounds obviously necessary.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Is this a code requirement, Geraldine?
No, I think it's to pick up some devices, particularly lighting controls, and connect them into your BMS system. I think it's a functionality issue, not a code issue.
Okay.
You know, as far as I know, Joe can jump in if he knows differently. It's just information that was not included in the original documents, and perhaps a coordination between the electrical requirements and the BMS. I'm not sure. But this was, the work was defined through an RFI, so the PCO has been reviewed by DTC and Perkins and myself. So we're recommending adoption.
Okay.
Anything else for anybody?
Let's see, Johnson, we also.
Well, so we got to vote on it first.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you're gonna do them individually or, okay.
But yeah, I made the motion, so we might as well do that. So does anybody have any other questions on this particular one? So can we vote on it, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So that's unanimous. Thank you.
All right, at Johnson, PCO 54. This is for additional outlets in the media center for the speaker system. Again, these were just items that were omitted from the original documents. This PCO is in the amount of $3,303.70. If I scroll down, again, in response to an RFI from the electrician saying, hey, how do we hook up the speakers? You've got outlets in the projection room. Sorry for the orientation of the drawing. Outlets in two of the project rooms, as well as outlets in the main media center area. And again, it's to connect the speaker system to the AV, you know, with the AV contractor.
Okay, so, and you're recommending we,
Yes, again, we need to, obviously, we need the outlets so the speakers function, and it's three outlets. And it's been reviewed by the engineers and myself, and the cost is reasonable.
Carolyn, I think this one is coordination with the technology package.
Right. I mean, I guess that's what I meant to say. I think that this.
It's not a document omission. It's a coordination with a later package.
Well, yes. So I didn't mean to impugn, your completeness of the documents, but yes, there's the consultant that does the technology, the AV package. That information was not clearly coordinated with the electrical engineer that located the outlets. So it's just a miss, I think, is what I want to say. And yes, it's probably due to the timing of the two packages.
okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve PCO number, which one are we on?
54.
54 for Johnson Elementary School in the amount of $3,303.70 for additional outlets. Are they all in the same area?
They're all in parts of the media center, yes.
Additional outlets in parts of the media center.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Any more questions, comments here? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
And also at Johnson, PCO 57, which is for chases for the plumbing. Okay, Joe, let me see if I can remember what this is.
Yeah,
Oh,
I might have to change
classrooms. Okay, so I do remember this. So in the fourth grade classrooms, on the second floor of the existing building, we have sinks along existing, in these two areas. We have sinks along existing CMU walls where we can't get the plumbing into the wall. So we're just enclosed, the plumbing's running on the outside of the wall, obviously, and we're building drywall chases here to enclose the plumbing for these sinks. So 2 locations in 2 classrooms. This is due to existing conditions, and the amount of the change order is $1,510.65.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 57. For Johnson Elementary School, the amount of $1510.65 for additional drywall and framing for plumbing chases. Dave seconded it already. Any other questions, comments on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Done. So
And
that's all Johnson?
that's all Johnson. And before we go away from that, I just want to take a look at the overall PCO log. So with the acceptance of those 3 change orders, we now have a total change order amount at Johnson of $369,247, which represents about 1.14% of the total construction cost. So still
That's actually pretty good.
very good, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Rockwell?
Rockwell, we have 2, and they are similar to ones that we just explained for Johnson. So Rockwell number 40, PCO 45 is, again, we needed additional data drops to connect equipment to the building management system. In this case, it totals $9,052.43.
Okay, so oh, there they are.
Now, a couple in the boiler room, couple in this boiler room, couple in this electrical closet, one in the main electrical closet, and all because of functionality and connectivity of that equipment to the building management system.
Carolyn, how many drops were there in total? I'm sorry, new ones?
Let's see, it didn't say right there. Let's see. 2, 4, 5-6.
Thank you.
Yes, 6.
Okay, so back to the front page there.
There you go.
I will make a motion that we approve change order number 45 for Rockwell Elementary School and the amount of $9,052.43 for additional network data drops as specified. I need a second,
I'll second it.
whoever that was. Is that Roy?
Yes.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions, comments?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Bob?
That's a lot of drops. How did that get left off?
Thank you, Bob.
Again, I think the explanation of it not being left off and being associated with,
Now that had to do with the
That's it.
UV system. I don't know, Joe, do you have a sense of what happened here?
I don't. I think it's just a miscoordination between DTC and D'Agostino.
Yeah.
So
I didn't review this. I didn't review this RFI, so I'd have to check with John and the consultants as to what exactly happened here. I just know that they were required and that we answered the RFI that put them in.
The other difference is the price of per drop. If you break it out, why is it like $1,300 or $1,200 per drop here and like $1,000 drop at Johnson?
Yeah, that I don't know because you go through it may be
Could be the length of the runs or.
see where they
Very well could be. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, yeah. They were close. But again, this explanation on the RFI does say that the drops are required to bring the building automation system to the school's network as well as connect these control panels.
that goes to my question. If it's on there, then why was it not done? I'm sorry. It's just been here too long.
I know. Well, if you want us to pursue more information, happy to do that.
Well, the job's not done yet. Is there any more of these that are not?
No.
$9,000 it makes you raise your eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think so. I do recall the coordination meeting at which this came up. It was mentioned that at both schools, in order, they needed additional drops. Then there was a time period there where I think DTC was, or D'Agostino probably, were figuring out who's responsible for specifying and determining where those drops go and what they connect to. But this came up many months ago at an initial coordination meeting between the ESC, who is doing the control work, and Ferguson, who's doing the wiring and this. So, but I don't know the details, so I'd have to dig back in there for you.
so Bob, are you looking at wanting more information before we make a
No,
decision?
it just, because I'm an electrician, it just raised an eyebrow, that's all. And $9,000 is a lot. And I just felt I needed to ask that question.
Sure.
Yeah, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but Ferguson does like to give us a breakout of every single piece and part and hour that they spend. So this work had.
Well, that's fine on that end.
Yeah.
At least he's itemizing. But the fact is, if it was on the print, it should have been dovetailed in, or it should have been, right into the initial price, not additional monies needed.
Well, I think the point is that the actual low voltage cabling between the devices was not coordinated or not specified. Certainly yes, we knew we had the building management system. We knew that there were devices that had to tie into it. Somehow that information was missing from the documents.
Okay.
Geraldine, I recall when those bids came in, they were way under what we had estimated. So it's not a surprise to me that there were some pieces not, that coordination brought out a few things.
Yeah, and we have not obviously not in this area, but on some of these other issues that have come up during construction, we're trying to push back on
Yep.
additional pieces that one would have understood they were going to need to do,
Mhm.
looking at the devices in the space. I think that this is one that was not clear, and that's why we're recommending that you accept it.
Okay.
So Bob, I think you're correct. I don't think it was clear. So I think when it got down to actually doing the work and coordinating, it hadn't been made clear. But again, the price that came in were so far below what we thought they were going to be. I'm not surprised that there was some coordination that had to be done there.
Okay, thank you.
Fallout.
Okay, anything else on change order 45? We'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes unanimously. Next.
And the last one at Rockwell is additional outlets in the media center for the speaker system. In this case, it's $1,166.22 for one additional duplex receptacle.
Oh, man. I'll just shut up. Let me shut my speaker off.
I was just gonna ask Bob, boy, don't you wish you could get that kind of money to do a drop?
Been back being an electrician, right?
Well, it's like wiring a house and you forget to wire the kitchen. How do you tell the customer, oh, by the way, forgot to wire your kitchen?
But in this case, I do think that the AV package came obviously after the construction package, and the AV work originally may not have indicated that there were going to be speakers in these areas. It's the only thing I can think of. And so when the speakers were added, they were part of the base AV system, but the actual connection power to them probably was not anticipated.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve. What's the number of this change order?
48.
48. Change order number 48 for Rockwell School in the amount of $1,166.22 for additional outlets in the media center.
I'll second it.
Roy seconds it. Any more discussion, questions, et cetera, et cetera? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Is that it for change orders this
That
time?
is the change orders. I just again wanted to highlight at Rockwell that we are now at $313,124 worth of change orders, which in the case of Rockwell represents a little less than 1.5% of the job. Still a pretty good job on change orders.
I'm sorry, could you say that number again?
The total is $313,125,
Thank you.
which is 1.46% of the construction contract.
Thank you very much.
That is it for change orders. So the next thing would be the Rizzo application for payment and then all the invoices.
Okay. So before we start with the applications for payment, I have a question for, I guess, Ken and Jim. So these applications, so the roof problems were at Rockwell that we were talking about with the ductwork and all that.
Yes.
So if we approve the Rockwell, is that included in here? Are we paying for screwed up stuff? Or are they not complete yet so that they wouldn't be included in this application?
You still have 195,000 on them.
That's not enough.
Well, so on this Actionair, so Actionair is the HVAC contractor. They're currently showing, oh wait, I'm at Johnson. So we want to be at Rockwell. Sorry, wait a minute. So at Rockwell, oops. Actionair, the HVAC contractor, is currently billing out to 67.5% completion. And in addition to that, we are holding currently $135,000 worth of retainage. So they still have, almost 1.3 million to bill. Well, and work to complete, obviously, at Rockwell.
Carolyn, isn't the issue with the roofer though, not the HVAC install?
No, the issue is in repairing the HVAC equipment, right? So
Which the roofer damaged.
Right, correct.
Yeah, we should be looking at the
Actionair's-
roofing numbers.
All right.
Correct.
So let's look at back charging the roofers.
Right.
So that is, where are they? Young
I
developers.
saw
Here
them.
they are. So yeah, young developers is billed out, they're billing out to 78%, which means they only have 166,000 left plus the 29,500 retainage currently. So that is the question.
Wouldn't pay the roofers anything until we sort this out.
I agree with you.
So I agree too. However, how do we go about not paying the roofers as we look at this application for payment?
So they're currently, they're billing this period 183,817, the roofers. You could approve this requisition in an amount
Minus-
lower than what's on the front cover by this amount or some other amount.
Do we technically need to go back to a new document, or will this suffice if?
I would like to see a new document, but the question is whether to approve an amount pending the receipt of a newly certified requisition, or just push the whole thing 2 weeks to the next meeting. I mean, that's really the two options.
I think we should push it up.
Yeah.
So, but in 2 weeks, would the work possibly be done to our satisfaction, so to speak?
I'm sorry, I don't see any way in God's green earth that they could remove all that ductwork, fix everything in 2 weeks, and fix the roof.
Get it inspected.
Yep, I'm just saying, it's a possibility, but,
Yeah.
right. So the two, as Geraldine said, we can approve it with minus that 180 whatever thousand pending receipt of a new document, or we could wait 2 weeks to receive a new document with the amount, a corrected amount in it. And I'm asking for input on this because
I'm going to ask Geraldine what she thinks what would be the better message to send.
If you don't, so if you push the whole requisition for 2 weeks, that delays everybody's approval and payment.
Right.
If you approve an amount different than what's on this certified cover sheet, then we just have to take the time to obtain the new paperwork, the new certification, the new signatures, and perhaps that gets into the process of payment sooner than the 2 weeks plus the lag to get it to finance and yada, yada. So I guess I would prefer to see a method that doesn't penalize every other subcontractor and, than to hold up the entire rec till the next meeting.
How about this? How about we don't approve theirs and Rizzo's, so that Rizzo will step up and get this taken care of more quickly? Would that be an incentive to take out Rizzo's payment and as well as the roofing contractor?
It could, probably would. So the Rizzo CM subtotal for this month is 67.8, which includes a bunch of reimbursables, their fee, and then their insurance costs. So any or all of that amount could also be deducted.
I'll leave it up to the rest of the committee, but that would be my vote.
So the amount would be, can we go back to the roofer amount? What was that, 100 and?
Yeah. The roofer, they're looking this month for $183,817.
So pay the Rizzo invoice less that amount.
Plus that amount plus the is it 67,000 or?
So 67,000 is their complete fee, 2,000 of it is insurance, 11,600 is their fee actually, and then these other numbers are general conditions and reimbursable costs. The reimbursable costs include some cleaning contractor work, but yeah, so some either the full 67.8 or just their fee for this period, which is 11,600, so about 11,594. I don't know. Sort of up to you all, how much of an incentive you think is required.
I'm okay with just the 11.6 or whatever it is. I think Rizzo has an incentive to get this to happen. I'd rather not have Rizzo upset with us also.
So just the 11,594.
That would be, yeah, I would be comfortable with that.
I also agree with that. I think that's fair.
Okay, and then how much, we're gonna take out the entire roofer part?
I would.
Agreed. Agreed.
Can I just ask a question? I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. I'm not saying the roofers, should not be blamed for what they've done, but did Action Air get this? Did they jump ahead and put this ductwork in before they were supposed to?
No, I think Ken was explaining that earlier. The project was originally phased in a way that all of the roof work was supposed to be done after kids were out of the school this summer. But the HVAC work for the second floor needed to be done under the original plan where we were moving second graders and the media center. They were all supposed to occupy that space starting in March. So we needed the new infrastructure for the HVAC to be working when they occupied, but the roof had to come later. And yes, in hindsight, all of that went out the window with the schools closing. But that was the original sequence of work.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure that blame goes where it's supposed to, that's all.
Yeah.
Before we started the duct work, we actually proposed a substitution for dual tech, and it's a specialized exterior duct work application that comes all with the cover on it and the insulation. And we proposed it to DTC and it was rejected, but it's strong enough to stand on it. You can walk on it. They had a piece here as a demonstration, and it was more money, but yet they were willing to install it because it basically meant that we wouldn't have been putting the insulation on in the wintertime as it was scheduled at the time. But so there was a product that was brought to the table and it wasn't accepted. So, it was just, there were other materials brought to the table to try to circumvent any kind of problems. It just didn't happen.
Did they give a reason?
Yeah, I'm going to dig up the emails tomorrow on the request. I'll share them with you.
Be good to know.
My only
That-
concern
that
right
kinda
now
goes back-
is- What's
See,
that?
that kind of goes back to what Terry was saying, products that have to go in and last 20 years. That would have been a nice upgrade there.
I have a question, Nancy,
Sure.
and you can maybe refer it to Ken. Not paying the roofer, is that going to scare the roofer away and we don't get anything done and the job comes to a halt? I mean, an option is to pay him half of it or something.
Absolutely. I don't think you'll see the roofer back. Once
Yeah,
he can't pay his suppliers, he's
and
gone.
then it becomes a lawsuit.
And then we're talking, trying to get the roofs done. And if we really think that fixing these ducts is more than $195,000, then I think we're gonna be talking lawsuit no matter what. But yeah, we're gonna have, we have all these rooftop curbs that we have to have all the wood blocking down. We have to get all these rooftop units on, and we're like 2 roofs away from finishing with them, but I could see that this is going to bring everything with
Is-
issues.
Hey,
They've penetrated all the curbs with bolts. They've already put lag bolts through all the curbs. They penetrated the rubber. So what their fix wasn't a fix. It actually created more of a problem. So I understand what you're saying, Rich. I get it. But all right, if we lose that roofer, could we use the one from Johnson? I'm just saying, I don't think we're going to get a great project from them. We're not going to get a great product.
I've tried to get the roofer already from Johnson to come over to Rockwell, and he was busy, so we ended up keeping this contractor, but it was, we were trying to get proposals from him so that we could replace him because we were having problems with this contractor. The curbs I'm talking about are critical to opening school, and it's a matter of finding somebody in the summertime that's a roofer is going to be difficult.
then, then are we better off just delaying this versus, for the 2 weeks? Is that?
Delay this for 2 weeks. Rizzo can talk to the guy and say, if you don't shape up, we're not paying you. That's it. No.
But again,
You got to have a tough talk with him that maybe he's not happy with his performance and he's not going to get paid, and you're holding up the requisition.
well, but that, to Geraldine's point, then you're holding up payment to every other contractor who's gotten their work done.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
I think there may even be requirements to withhold them payment, that there's notices that they have to be given.
Who's the roof manufacturer again? I'm sorry.
John Mansfield.
I think just not paying the roofing contractor is a significant message to send to him, and maybe he turns around and does a better job. But somebody's got to be watching him to make sure he's doing a good job.
At the same time, is the roofer going to walk away?
Let him walk away. We'll default him and sue him.
Right.
But that holds up the project.
It does hold up the project, and we can't hold
So
up.
if you default somebody, you can go to another contractor and get them to do it.
Well, Ken, what does that do, or Jim? What if you terminated his contract today and told him he's off the job, and we try to?
I think you really should give anybody a chance to correct it to the satisfaction of everybody before you go down this road, especially in the middle of June. I think that, I don't think what has been done is not correctable. I think it can be corrected, and everybody will be satisfied with it.
But from just the little bit that I saw with Bob, the roof had buckles in it, waves in it, all over the place. It wasn't pulled tight.
I specifically had John's Mansfield rep come out there and address that, and he explained it in his report, because I saw the same thing you're seeing.
Okay.
And because it's a laid roof, that he told me that that's the way it is going to be. And I thought if it was a fastened, it was the, there's a type of roof that one's mechanically fastened, the other one's adhered, and you're going to get those ripples, and that's one of the reasons I had him come out and look at it.
I'm sorry, but that's completely incorrect because I've put down dozens of roofs in my lifetime. I'm not going to agree.
I can have the rep come out and meet with you, and I'll send you the report, but I
would love to meet with the rep. That would be great.
Okay. All right. I'll set that up.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's get to where we're gonna make I can make a motion here. So if we take out the 11,594 to Rizzo and half the roofer, is that what we're looking at?
All of the roofer. Don't pay the roofer anything at this point in time.
And then what are we gonna do when the roofer walks off the job and we have no roofer to continue the project along?
He'll not get paid at all then, won't he?
Well, that's correct, but that doesn't help us to move the project along.
Ken, is this a big company?
He's a union roofing contractor, but I'm not exactly sure how big he is. He's struggled to keep the.
Is this an important job for them?
I suppose he just did a lot of roofing in the last month, and he's probably got a lot of bills to pay.
All right, so the question is, do we bring the job somewhat to a standstill because of this? And I'm looking for input from everybody.
I'll offer this. We're pushing the job on all fronts. So delaying a payment is going to affect everybody. If we want to look at a way of protecting the town and making sure we have enough money, which I believe we did by looking at what he has as a balance of his contract for what needs to be fixed. But if we feel that's not enough, then it's some portion of his payment that he's into now to hold that. To hold the entire payment, and then that's the discussion we have with him tomorrow, will result in us losing him and absolutely a lawsuit. So I throw that out there. As Ken said, these items can be repaired. They have to be repaired to, as you guys have pointed out, to the condition of the contract. So that's what we will be doing.
Hey Jim, what's your thought as far as how much you think we should hold to get their attention without it going over the top?
I think anything around or near 50%.
Okay.
Going to precipitate meetings and them looking to walk off the job immediately. It's somewhere between that 50 and 100 is that threshold.
Yeah. So if we did half of it, I mean, I hear you. I think we've got to have some good faith in that these things will get done. I think to keep the job moving, that's a better solution.
Okay, so what I have is the total amount on the application for payment is $995,002.04 minus the 11. Somebody can check this with me. $11,594 for Rizzo, and minus half the roofer amount, which is $91,908.50, puts us at an amount of $891,499.54.
Math is correct.
Thank you. Thank you for checking. So then I'm going to make a motion and then we can discuss even more if we would like.
I would second that.
I'm going to make an motion that we approve Rizzo application for payment number, wherever number is, 15, in the amended amount of $891,499.54, pending that we get a new certified page ASAP, because it won't be paid until then. And this reflects an amount minus $11,594 due to Rizzo for the construction management fee, and an amount minus an amount $91,908.50 the roofer till they get going on their repairs. And Action Air too needs to get their repairs done, but they're not being penalized.
If I can't get the revised pay app from this contractor, does it hold up everybody else's payment?
No, you just need to revise this G702
Okay,
with a cover sheet that's signed by you and the architect.
And then get it to me so that I can sign it to give it to finance for payment. Yeah, and just indicate on the cover sheet whatever we need to put on there for the minuses.
Well, I think the minutes of this meeting should reflect the reason that the approved amount of the requisition differs from the presented requisition is because
Right.
we're expecting the construction manager to withhold 50% of the roofer's requested payment. And that way, if they don't adjust the roofer doesn't obviously adjust their requisition, at least we're covered with the reasoning for why the cover requisition is different.
Okay, got that, Kathy? I can't see her. I know she's nodding her head. Okay, so any more comments or questions on this?
yeah, how much are you taking out of Rizzo? I didn't get that amount.
$11,594.
The full amount of your monthly fee.
Okay.
And then as part of discussion, I think once we get the that document, which then I sign and give to finance, the payment will be made. When would we revisit? And this is committee members. When do we revisit going back and at least for Rizzo, putting the amount back in and some other amount for the roofers?
When the roofer finishes.
Well, not when they finish totally, because they're still doing roofing, plus there's a retainage amount, but when the repairs are done in that area, I'm thinking.
Repairs and inspection
Yes,
and testing.
okay.
Is that rep going to come back from the roofing materials?
Well, right, because Jim or Ken just said he was going to set something up for him to meet with Dave.
No, I mean at the end of the job. Is that rep going to come back and say, you know, it's
They do a
100%?
final. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So any more on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Dave Olson's opposed. Anybody else opposed? Because I can't see all your pictures. So if you're opposing, you got to say, or I'll scroll through really quickly and look at. Of course, some of you don't have your pictures on, so never mind. All right, so Dave Olson's opposed. Everyone else is in favor. That's done. And Ken, you'll be in touch with me about getting all that stuff so we can
Yes.
get that part done. So now we have Johnson So I make a motion that we approve Rizzo's application for payment for Johnson Elementary School, application number 15, in the amount of $1,814,222.60.
Second.
That was a second from Dave Olson. Any questions on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. I'll get that one taken care of. Now we have all the other invoices. We're gonna roll right through these, I think. Where do you want to start? I got a whole pile of them because I have to sign them. So, should we start with Enviromed? They seem to be first there.
Yes.
Okay.
So Enviromed 18888.
It's the last one that I have for Enviromed.
Sorry.
So that's okay. I make a motion that we improve Enviromed Services invoice number 18888 dated June 5, 2020 for PCB monitoring, et cetera, at Rockwell School in the amount of $13,372.20.
Second.
Who's that, Bob?
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Second, Bob. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, the next one, 86.
Yep.
Make a motion that we approve invoice from Enviromed Services for, I guess it's always Rockwell. Invoice number 18886 dated June 5, 2020 in the amount of $480. This is an asbestos inspection.
I'll second that again.
Bob seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Last, Enviromed. Make a motion we approve Enviromed invoice number 18885 dated June 5, 2020 for Rockwell School. Asbestos inspection in the gym, $532.20.
Just a quick question. Is that it for the gym?
Well, I guess the question is, Ken, they're still grinding some of the gym? We're not removing slab in the gym, right?
Correct. We got some wall mastic that they're removing, and there's 3 other containments in the gym.
So it's not all the gyms. So they're now, so this invoice was for the testing, all that glue on the wall. Now they're abating that, so we will have to retest to make sure that that's all safe. And then there's still floor. There's 3 or 4 areas on the floor that that had failed that I think we're still working on. So we're not quite done in the gym.
Okay.
So I actually need a second on my invoice or on my proposal, my motion. Gil
I'll second.
seconds. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done with Enviromed. Next we have special testing. Now what do we got? Peers. Let's do peers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Uh-oh, I'm missing my Johnson one here. I'll have to look and find it later.
I think they're both the same amount. So these are for the code compliance review of the playground drawings that were required in order to receive the building official, fire marshal, health department, and 504 officials approval that the state requires. So.
Right, and we had approved the proposal earlier, so this is the invoice.
Yep.
So I make a motion that we approve Piers Associates invoice dated June 1, 2020 for Johnson Elementary School in the amount of $3,600.
Seconded,
Whoever that was.
Gil.
Gil, okay. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Done. And then I make a motion that we approve invoice from Piers Associates for Anna H. Rockwell School for code compliance review in the amount of $3,600.
Seconded, Gil.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
And just to interject, because we didn't report it earlier, we have a meeting with the State Office of School Construction Grants and Review on Friday to go to review this entire playground package and get their approval to not go to bid because we're buying off a state contract, but to go to purchase order and procurement. So we'll have something to report on that next meeting on the results of that.
Okay, next we have ESC. So, which school is this?
This is Johnson.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the invoice from Environmental Systems Corp. This is part of,
This is for the security wiring.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
So anyways, Environmental Systems Corp. Invoice number 1185930. Dated 5/18/2020 in the amount of 950. Is that, no, 9,000.
3,800.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
3,800. Sorry, I was looking at the last page.
Okay.
Thank you for the correction. $3,800.
Second.
I didn't go through and highlight all the amounts before I usually do. So we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And then one for Environmental Systems Corp. for Rockwell School, invoice number 1185926. Dated 5/18/2020 in the amount of $10,450. Second?
Second.
Gil.
Okay, we got a second from Roy and Gil at the same time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Perkins Eastman,
Yes.
okay. There's four.
Rockwell or Johnson? Yeah, which we're Johnson.
Doesn't matter.
All right, Johnson. Oops, that's FF&E. Johnson Construction Administration. Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve invoice from Perkins Eastman number 68962.00.0-28 for Johnson School for Construction Administration services through April 30, 2020. The amount of
Down here, 26,000.
$6,018.10. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Second.
So a second from Roy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And then Johnson FF&E.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we approve invoice number 68962.01.0-10 for Johnson School FF&E through April 30, 2020, the amount of $23,275.96.
Second.
Second from Roy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. So then Rockwell Construction Administration. Yep. Make a motion, we approve invoice number for Perkins Eastman, invoice number 68961.00.0-28 for Rockwell School through April 30, 2020. The amount of $13,842.05.
Second.
Second from Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And then Perkins Eastman invoice for Rockwell School FF&E through April 30, 2020, invoice number 68961.01.0-10 in the amount of $20,070.21.
$12,070.
$12,070.21.
Second.
That's a second from Dave, yeah. My eyeballs are rolling around in my head. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. IES, STV, what's next? Yeah, IES.
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve invoice from IES, invoice number 14851, dated May 13, 2020, for Johnson School in the amount of $715. Bargain.
Second,
Second from whoever that came from.
Gil.
Gil, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And then make a motion we approve invoice from IES, invoice number 14850, May 13, 2020, for Rockwell School in the amount of $617.50.
Second, David.
Second, Dave, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then STV or special testing?
STV.
Okay. Johnson. Make a motion that we approve invoice for STV, invoice number 900171006, invoice date 5/15/2020, for Johnson in the amount of $30,471.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Make a motion that we approve invoice from STV, invoice number 900171107, invoice date 5/15/2020, for Rockwell School in the amount of $25,981.
Second.
Second from Roy, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. We got a couple more. Oh, got two. This one has a bunch of pages. Okay. That's the one that's a bunch of pages.
Yes.
Ends in 49.
149, yes.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the invoice from Special Testing Laboratories, invoice number 34149, dated April 30, 2020, in the amount of $6,141. This is a whole bunch of rebar, masonry,
Whole month of April, it's
mortar, lots of pouring, etc.
Second.
Second from Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And the last one, I hope. Invoice from Special Testing Laboratories for Rockwell, invoice number 34150, dated April 30, 2020, in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Second from Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. All right. What next?
German.
No, we can't do that yet. I gotta
We're
get back.
so close, Bob, so close.
I know.
I know. Well, you could try, but
You got to get up early tomorrow. I know, Bob.
I'm on 18 hours in the same office here.
Oh, you're still, oh, that's right. You're still at work, aren't you?
Yeah.
might as well sleep there. So, is there anything else on the school projects that anyone wants to deal with, bring up, etc.? can't find my agenda. And I closed my computer, so I can't look at it there, but here we are. Here we are. Anything else, anything else, anything else? All right, so we commission members have work to do. We're gonna have to discuss that, decide if we're gonna have another meeting very soon, which I think we might have to. There's different people who are getting different information together. I hope you remember, I made some notes, but we need stuff from Roy, et cetera, about the dirt pile. Geraldine's looking up some stuff too on that. And Dave's gonna keep looking at Dave Horvath is gonna continue looking at roofs because that's what he likes to do.
Oh, pain in the ass, I know.
Well, you're bringing up good points. And I, any other questions? Joe Collada, when was the last time somebody from Perkins Eastman was on the job site?
Joe Costa and John went out there
May
recently.
27th.
Thank you. All the days are blurring together. And DTC, we had our structural engineer go out there the other day as well. Look at a bunch of conditions.
Yeah, the vestibule.
The vestibule and then
yeah, okay.
Other condition.
Are there, do you have regular scheduled visits? Are you going to do weekly visits? Is John going to get out there weekly and look at stuff so he can resolve some issues, et cetera, et cetera?
I don't think we're going to be doing weekly, but we'll do as needed. And I think Joe Costa had a conversation with Geraldine about that.
Yeah, and I think right now, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that there is anything pending currently that you need them out for, but as soon as you're able to review that vestibule information, we may need to have another conversation.
Yeah, I think Jim's gone. Jim, is still
here. But I know that Jim and I had a conversation about putting together about the as-needed issue. You know, Joe Costa committed to coming out when we did need them, and that they would come in a timely manner when there was something to be reviewed that could be resolved by doing it in the field. So.
I'm sorry, John, we were muted there. Yes, that's our understanding as well.
Okay.
Not to make the light the night any longer, but what was the major problem with that entry at Johnston School? I mean, it's, a year after plans and specs were done for that. So what was the problem there, Joe?
It's basically two problems we need to solve there. There's a support of an existing roof that needs to happen. And also the way that the frame that supports the new canopy interacts with the ballistic glass. So there's an elevation issue there where the two conflict. So what I'm seeing in this proposal is to modify that steel to cut the steel that conflicts, and then adding some new steel at the existing roof to support it.
Because the glass is already there, so things have to get worked around the glass, correct?
Yeah, Joe's may be able to speak to it better. It didn't sound like we had any choice about modifying the ballistic frame or glass or anything like that. So
yeah, since it was already on site, we decided to split the steel, separating the canopy from the vestibule. I actually prefer to do it this way. It gives us a thermal break, and I believe it's going to be a better solution for you in the long run. And then at the existing portion, the existing, I don't know if you remember that white arched wall that was the existing entry, actually was a bearing wall. So the roof steel was actually bearing on that, not the roof deck was actually bearing on that and not on steel. So when that wall came out, we lost the bearing there as well.
Okay, does that help, Rich?
I just don't know why we didn't discover it earlier, that's all.
That's a good question. Why didn't we discover it earlier?
The issue with the bearing wall only was going to be found when you did the demolition. I never took a look at the existing drawing to see what they indicated there. But until that was removed and then shored temporarily as we have it now, there was nothing calling out anything new there.
Yeah, it was a unique condition where the rest of the building is supported by steel and steel structure, except for this one portion of the roof, which was supported by a bearing wall.
Okay. Does that help, Rich? Or?
We don't have much of a choice about it. We don't have much of a choice about it.
Well,
It's just that, we want to get the building going, finished, and we run into these problems that hold up, delay the project. So that's all.
but I think what Joe is saying is that,
Let's move on.
right, and I think what Joe is saying is that we kind of knew we were going to run into it, sort of, kind of.
Well, didn't know. So if we knew, we would have resolved it earlier.
Yeah.
So it's part of the kind of nature of construction.
Right, and that you didn't know it was there until we did some demolition. Kind of. Anyways, move on, like Rich said. Okay, anything else? School projects. We have a little more. Public site's got to do a little bit more. But I think we can let some people go home or go to sleep or
eat dinner and hopefully not put the kids to bed.
There you go. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Geraldine. We'll be in touch.
Night, night.
Thank you.
Dave, you could go too if you wanted to. Not
Good night,
Dave or
good night
Beth,
everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
I'm gonna leave.
Good night, all.
Good night. So I do have stuff I have to tell you about the police station. So I forwarded to everyone Brian Humes' letter that we received I think we received it from Downs because I think he issued it to Downs initially. It just came late this afternoon. And I had a chance to kind of quickly review it. But the big thing is that I will tell you all last night at a special meeting of the board. So I'll back up just quick, but a week ago, Tuesday night, I had to report to the Board of Selectmen. Public Site and Building Commission is required to report to the Board of Selectmen quarterly, which I kind of often forget to do, but then they remind me. So I did attend that meeting on June 2nd, gave them an update on school project and where we were with the police station. I had already forwarded the 3 reports, the 2 from Hoffman, the 1 from CT Mason's guy. And expressed my frustration that here we have Hoffman reports saying fix it this way and CT Mason saying we may not really need to do that. And that, as we all have expressed in the past, who's our representative? Who's like looking out for us? Who's watching for us? So last night the Board of Selectmen had a special meeting in which they made a motion to approve. Hang on, I got to get my other page. I know it's, hang on. Anyways, they made a motion to hire Attorney Robinson from the company of Pullen Conley to represent, to provide legal counsel to us, the town of Bethel, in this matter. So basically, Marty has forwarded all this happened today. They approved it last night. Today, Marty forwarded all the reports to this attorney for their review and opinion. So.
Good. I think that's a good move.
Well, as I said, and I had followed up my report to the Board of Selectmen with a written report where I stated, our ongoing frustration with all of this. And that, Downs has Hoffman, and now CT Masons has this. Actually, I asked you all if you had ever heard of this national consulting group guy. Nobody has, but Geraldine knows of him and says he's a masonry guy, masonry expert. So he's not new to the process, not new to the industry, etc. So that's where we are with that.
Well, it was interesting. Brian's letter Brian seemed to know this national group also.
Yes.
It sounds like they must be fairly recognizable on that, but I do think the Hoffman report was pretty telling to start off with. And, that seems like a difficult report to back down from. And
it seems like Brian was supporting it a lot. And
I thought the same thing, Nancy. Yeah, I had the same impression that, it's like all of a sudden they get this another person. It sounds like he's pretty reputable, but it's just, obviously he who hires them can, get out what they want, done. So,
right.
Well,
Geraldine said the guy is pretty reputable. He's, a known masonry guy.
Right.
Whether his group, his national consulting group, is a group that's well known, maybe he just got started with it or whatever, but she recognized his name.
Right. So, I thought Brian was pretty supportive of the original report. So.
Right. And I kind of think it's, the Board of Selectmen's intent to kind of get them all in a room and say, this is how we're going to fix this. And they all agree on it, and we don't get CT Masons who are saying, no, we don't have to do that. I still am struck by, even in Brian's, quickly reviewing Brian's letter, where they continue to talk about water repellency.
Right.
And not waterproof. So.
Yeah. But, by the same token, the concrete block standard, I was just kind of glancing through that. That was a pretty stringent requirement, I thought. It was, like, what was it, 5.5 inches of rain over 3 days at
right.
65 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Wind. I'm like, oh my gosh, that building would be a swimming pool if they did that.
Right. And as we know, they stood there with a garden hose. Ryan Patrick stood there with a garden hose, and
20 minutes, I thought it was.
Yeah, 20 minutes it leaked. So
yeah. And I was surprised that it's not just the police firing range; it's all the other rooms as well are leaking where you could see.
No, it's just the firing range.
Oh, it is? Okay, just the firing range.
Firing range.
There's 2 other rooms in that firing range that leak also.
It's all part of the
maybe where you heard other rooms.
That's part of the split block, wherever the split block was used.
It's all that split block. Right. Yeah. Right. That our conversation before that, when we met with Hoffman, you and I mentioned that I lost the internet. You and I mentioned that we didn't have anybody to represent us, and I think the Board of Selectmen finally got tired of hearing excuses from this one and that one. Everybody's pointing the fingers at everybody, and that's why we chose to hire someone to represent the town.
Richie, I'm very, very pleased with this. I think it's the proper way to go.
Well, I've been calling for a long time, even when we had some other problems.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think we should have this avenue, just in general as a conversation, that we should be able to consult with an attorney on these projects. I mean, these are large projects, and we should, any one of us should be able to talk about this and say, hey, look, maybe this is something that our attorney should take a look at.
Well, just in general, the two schools now. You got the architect and you got the owner's rep asking for more money. You know, and you know
exactly.
it's after the fact.
You
That's
hit it
right.
right on, Rich. That's exactly right. So, and these are the type of questions that we have to, you know, we need an attorney. We need a soundboard that we should be able to easily get to them and get an answer quickly.
All right. This gentleman represented the town against the high school electrician, C&H Electric, and we won the case. The C&H Electric wanted $1 million plus for overruns on the building, and the town refused to pay him, and they sued us, and we ended up winning in court.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's not much more we can do with that right now. We'll have to wait and see as this attorney does some of his investigations and whether he hires either an architectural firm or an engineer to do their own review, or, you know, review at least the reports and get back to us. I don't have an update on the CO, Certificate of Occupancy. I hadn't heard anything from Chris Baldwin, and that's kind of that. And the only other thing I would ask is, so for these additional, they call them additional services requests, but they're not doing additional, well, I think in the case of STV, Geraldine has shown that they have done some additional services with the move management. But do we want to have a meeting in a week, next Tuesday, to discuss some of this? You know, we asked.
I think we have to do this in executive session, though, to discuss this.
Yes.
So that would be my recommendation. And, you know, again, it would be nice to have Marty involved also on that.
Right. Well, so let me be in touch with him by email, and then possibility of since Tuesdays seem to work a lot better for most people, since we block out every other Tuesday anyways. I'd like to at least get started in discussing it. We don't have the additional information that we asked for Perkins Eastman. I don't know if they're ever going to get it to us, but we can start with at least have some discussions, and if we wanted to come up with some proposals I have some ideas, but we'll think about it during the meeting. Rich?
Look at the difference between STV having everything documented and Perkins Eastman doesn't have anything.
Correct.
So
yeah, I can live with that as opposed to and who just says, "Oh, I don't know. They just showed up."
Yeah.
Well, my question to her was, this goes back to pre-construction. That's over 1.5 years ago. Come on, folks.
Right. But I think she answered it. And
yeah, she did. But, you know, 1.5 years later or a year later.
Right. And I think just to kind of, in thinking about, she's not the one that does that sort of paperwork billing stuff. She just does the job. And, you know, I'm sure they could have said to her, you need to back off on your hours because you're going to go over or something like that. They didn't. So, but it's something we need to discuss more, because I think we can come up with some of our own perhaps ideas of maybe a little give and take, or, you know, how do we handle this?
Hey, Nancy, I got a question.
Sure.
With the new lifting of some of the restrictions, could the 10 of us meet at the town hall for socially separated?
We might be able to.
I mean, it's for an executive session or something. It's hard on the Zoom here to do this.
Well,
I would agree, yeah.
So I can check into that. I know.
Yeah.
That came up, and actually you talked about it a little bit, I think. Oh no, it was department head meeting. That I'll check into it.
Okay.
If we met at the Board of Ed conference room, we could spread out even more. And then we just have to find out from the Board of Ed, are they okay with that? Because once you do meetings and stuff, you're supposed to sanitize and disinfect everything. And
unbelievable.
And I have pandemic cleaning supplies at home for my office, so.
Well, I think, I mean, the town has that stuff, and they have.
Come in with a fire hose.
Yeah. Just to fog the area. The town has people that are going around doing that kind of thing. I just think we would have to make arrangements to let them know we're going to do it, et cetera. So,
Yeah. Okay.
all right. So I'll check in first. I got to check with Marty and see, how do we go about doing this? And do we want Marty to be in on the discussion?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that actually puts us over 10.
Well, we could do part of the Zoom at the town hall, right, Kathy? So,
Yeah, we could do that too. All right.
I mean, some people could stay home.
yeah,
You could just limit how many are actually in the building.
Yeah.
Right.
all right.
So we could actually broadcast, which Kathy and I did once, well, and it's been done several times, from either meeting room A, or we could use the system at Board of Ed conference room if we know how to use that.
I believe next Tuesday is the selectmen's meeting.
Ah, okay. So would you want to be a part of that meeting?
I would like to be part of it, yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll have to figure that out.
And, well, see how the majority, if I can't be there, I can't be there.
Right. Or you could jump in later or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, our meetings don't go long anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we good now? Can we motion to adjourn? Kathy's like, yay!
Yeah, no, just one last quick thing. I've been in touch with Lieutenant Labertini. They're not allowing me on the roof or Gill due to insurance reasons.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it is what it is with that. I'm trying still, but.
Well, but also,
Nancy, check with Marty, get him permission to go on the roof.
okay. Well, the other thing I was going to mention is if the attorney that's been hired has somebody that's going to come and do a review, we could ask, could Dave be there to go on the roof or something like that?
Yeah. It's looking like it's not a roof problem. It's looking like it's a problem from the outside wall into the building though, doesn't it?
And Brian said that too. But
I want to eliminate all possibilities.
But I'd like to, we should check it out anyway.
Okay.
That roof at Rockwell, that's going to leak like a friggin' sieve, trust me.
So
That's a scary thing.
I'm sorry, Kathy. I just thought of something that I wanted to bring up, and probably some of the school people should be here too. David Horvath, you talked about, walking the job site with Bob regularly. What I would like to see is, so every Thursday is the trailer meeting, what they call the trailer meeting, but it's actually happening there. It's Geraldine, Christine, I think Ken and Jim meet, I think at a Rizzo office or somewhere, and then the rest of them call in. Bob calls in, I've called in, but I'm often working on Thursdays. That's when it is. If any of you would want to attend that and you can call in and attend by Skype phone, I'll make sure Geraldine gets the info to you.
Oh, please do.
Because what I'm thinking is if you're going to do a walk, I know you said every Friday, but it's on Thursday. So if you walked on Wednesday and picked up shit that you could bring up at that trailer meeting, I always have good intention every Thursday afternoon. I think I'm going to sign in and listen while I'm working. And then it's all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and I'm still working and I forget to sign in.
Actually, Wednesdays are my easiest day, and I would absolutely love it because I've actually pulled out some documents for the closeouts and inspections from what I do, and I'm going to try and tailor those to what they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then we can, if you do those walks with Bob says, 2:30, 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yep, absolutely.
Good with him. He's, kind of getting through with his day. So you can set that up with him. If anybody else wants to do those walks, check in with Dave.
Yeah, I think I'd like to be in on those walks as well.
As long as there's not a quorum, so that'd be good.
Yep.
And, and again, you could be a part of those Thursday meetings. You could take turns. We could all take turns just to make sure one of us is there. I think could be helpful.
Absolutely.
Start sticking it to them.
No, I agree. Again, I know I get emotional about this because I get like so fed up with, because I've done this for long, but that roof looked like a washboard. And when he said, oh, that's standard, I wanted to dive through my freaking computer.
Yeah.
That is not standard. That is not even close. It's a flat roof.
Yeah. Where's the water gonna go if it's bumpy like that?
Well, you get a nice ripple effect, so it's pretty. You know, if you
Yeah,
grade,
it puddles and standing water will leak.
yeah.
Nancy, two
Yep.
more quick items. That Rick Robinson, he represents Poland County. They also have another suit against Downs.
Oh,
Really?
Interesting.
And also, well, legal action, maybe not a suit, but legal action. And the other thing is, check with Bob Kozlowski and make sure all the members have insurance that we can go on the school property in case something happens to one of us.
Mhm.
Okay,
We
No.
should be covered under the town policy
okay.
when we're doing inspections like that.
Good point, Rich. Thank you.
You don't want to find that out the hard way.
Right.
Very good.
And that would take care of that question about the police station too. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, so, motion to adjourn now, motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Seconded.
Done. Yay.
Yeah.
Amen.
Good night,
Kathy, shut us
everybody.
off. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Dream.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.